everyone, and welcome back to Pixels and Pints. We're all in focus, we're all in the mode, it's recording time. Tonight, we're coming to you remotely from our houses, just like every other episode we've done for pretty much this entire season.
Surprise! It's the same as always! No one saw that coming.
No one ever saw that coming, and never let them know your next move. That's my life advice for you. My name's Tom. I'm going to be talking to you tonight with Pete.
Howdy.
And Dan.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking our usual crackpot full of shit. That's right. We're talking movies, games, comics, TV series. We've got a few new trailers from Gamescom. They're exciting. Bit of news just to round things out. And we'll end up with one of our very, very highly intellectual discussions at the end of our fourth beer. Stay tuned for that one. We'll see you in about 4 hours for that. Yeah, anyway, it's a Wednesday. Let's kick this shit off.
It's definitely a Wednesday.
Yeah.
I made an executive decision. I had 4 perfect beers lined up. I was so excited to try them. And then I lined them up in my fridge. And it's like, I'm going to start with an 11.1, go down to a 9, up to a 10.5.
Yes, that's the perfect
and then
start.
off to another 11. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen in one episode. Definitely not.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Or is it? Embrace chaos!
Shall we kick off with beeries?
I had to go and find a bottle opener for mine.
Ooh, do you have to get a hot knife to get that wax seal off?
I need to do that in the break.
Unfortunately,
Actually.
not.
Oh, someone does have a wax seal.
I do have a wax seal.
And in this episode, Peter goes to hospital.
Accidental
how many-
circumcisions.
No, how many accidents happen from people
exactly.
not cutting
Yeah.
waxes?
You get those gin bottles too that have got the foil over the top. There's just not quite enough room to be able to just peel it from the bottom and get it undone. And there's not one of those conveniently placed tabs. So you got to risk that. You got to risk that hospital hand injury by getting a knife out and cutting the foil. So not only have you got the fucking knife to cut yourself, you're actually cutting foil off the top.
Or you could do like our forefathers did in the pirate days and just smash the top off the bottle and drink straight out of it.
Yeah, no. I think we're going to
Just
skip
sand.
that.
It's just sand. Just a little grady on the throat. That's disgusting. Anyway, I am drinking a beer style that I've told the boys, I don't like this beer style.
Yeah, I was very interested about that.
But then we have to put up with you every episode of the podcast. So, all's fair.
True. I am not your beer style. Oh, my glass is dirty. That's really bad. Oh, I'm very embarrassed by myself. Hold on. It's clean. That got rid of all the bubbles. Happy days. I am drinking a Slow Lane Brewing beer. It is Refectory. It is their Belgian blonde ale. Hope you guys can see it. There we go. Comes into focus. 4.8%. I think I have said before on these recordings, I don't really like
Not a big fan
Belgian,
of blondes.
Blondes, like it's those fruity, yeasty ester characteristics. Like,
The Belgian
get your banana out of my beer and shove it down your own throat. It's just, like a lot of those Trapper styles I don't agree with. But
You don't agree with, or they don't agree with you.
as a style that I like, it doesn't agree with me, I should say. There we go. God damn, I did not clean this glass properly. It is Bubble City. As a result of me not cleaning my glass, my head has dissipated faster than a non-faithful groom at the altar. I was looking for a bad analogy there.
There had to be a nun joke in there somewhere, but anyway.
He went with
thee
marriage
to a
instead. I mean,
Yeah.
head stops
They
with
can't
marriage,
do
I
it.
think was the message I got from Tom.
But look at that. That's shit. I'm so annoyed at myself.
But we're going to move
I obviously
forward,
didn't
aren't
do
we,
that.
Tom? We're going to move through it together as a team.
No, we're gonna sit on this for a good half an hour. Me talking about this dirty glass. This is 4.8%. I'm not sure if I mentioned that before. They use Pilsner malt, Saaz, and Hallertau Mittelfrüh are the hops, and then they use a Belgian Abbey yeast. But yeah, anything like any of those Belgian or
Kvike.
German like wheat style beer, I'd like Hefs. Don't agree with them. I just don't agree with them. I know they're not for me. But this is an exercise in knowing I don't like this beer style, but being able to judge a beer based on it, how well it's made. Cue Tom Untapped Rant 17,044 for today as well.
The eerie silence.
It was a hell of a prelude.
And the facial expression just tops it off for the audio listeners.
It is. Look, it's
What Tom expected it to be.
I knew this was going to happen. But you can tell already. I don't like it. Obviously, my face says it all. I don't agree with those flavors. They just don't sit well with me in a beer. But the fact that I can tell apart that spiciness from that, like, what I usually get is overpowering banana, but it's that fruity yeast is driven through. That is a really well-made beer. It is just like, if I was an idiot who walked into a brewery and said, I'm going to have that without looking at it, and then I was like, this sucks, this isn't made well, I should punch myself in the face.
No, the classic is, I don't like this style. 1 star. You go, yes, but it's a fucking gold medal beer, you fucking dickhead.
But then punch yourself in the face. No, this is layered. It does have, like, it's refreshing, which I don't usually get out of blonde ales. I find them too overpowering, especially with those esters. But this is quite refreshing, actually, especially after a long day of work. But it's not the beer for me, but it is a very well-made beer.
And I congratulate you on that massive pour you've done there, rather than pouring a little bit to try it.
Yeah,
and deciding,
just a tinkle.
no, it's good, but it's not for me.
Well, once you crack the can, what are you going to do? Just put some Glad wrap over it and hope for the best? And, like, I don't know.
No.
I find
Shake it up and throw it over
in
the
almost
neighbour's
all
fence,
circumstances, throwing Glad wrap over it and hoping for the best does not work out. Sorry, I'm in a mood.
That's fine. It's fine. We haven't even gotten to the first fucking article on the news, and we're already gone right down the toilet.
The monks who would have originated this beer would have been very proud of you, Peter. They were all dirty fuckers. But yes, this is a well-made beer, but it's not for me. But you can still tell, just obviously Slow Lane, they know their old world styles. They know exactly what they're doing. This is easily a 4.25 in terms of the structure of the beer. I'm not going to be those, it's a 5 because I don't no. I can tell there's like, it's probably not the perfect version of a Belgian blonde ale, but it is definitely up there. Yeah. But as much as I appreciate the beer they've made, I will not go out of my way to buy that again.
Fair enough.
But this is an experiment. So, experiment done.
Cool.
Great success. Science.
I'm going to have to get one and try it because I do actually quite like Belgian blondes.
That'd be a good thing. Next episode, I will.
I'm loving the Slow Lane series of old world beers that they've been putting out over the last 12 months. It's been brilliant. Certainly for me, who doesn't know what most of them are supposed to taste like, it's just good to have. I've tried a 16th century Weiss beer now.
And I am going to finish this. I don't sink pour.
There's not enough Doppelbocks on the market in Australia. There's not enough Dunkels on the market. So I really dig what they're doing. Dan, what are you drinking, mate?
I am drinking Highwater Brewing. Let me find out where they're from. San Jose, California.
Ooh. I
didn't have the greatest selection of beer choices today, but I'm very fucking glad I went outside of the Australian New Zealand bubble that we usually do and picked this one up because it's fucking spectacular. Ooh. It's West meets East. West meets East. My new lights are glaring off that, so can't have best of both worlds. Read the label or see me in full colour. Fuck you. This is a fresh kiwi and kumquat. I have no idea what a kumquat tastes like. I'm definitely getting kiwi out of it.
Like a small orange. Don't ask me. Actually, you can ask me how I know it. My older brother, growing up, we used to call him Chrissy Kumquat. I don't know why, but we always did. Really pissed him off, so we did it more and more. Even grew a kumquat tree in the backyard. Didn't grow. Tried.
It's a wine barrel aged golden ale. It's 6%. 6%. I can't find it on here again. 6%. It's fantastic.
What's the style, mate? Sorry.
It's a golden ale, but it's a barrel aged golden ale. Wine barrel aged golden ale. I would say, well, no, I wouldn't say it. I would definitely say it's white wine barrels. It's got a real
listed as a sour on Untapped. It's really bizarre.
I just guess they couldn't really put it in a category. Yeah. It's got a little bit of sort of wine, like barrel-y funk to it. I wouldn't call it sour.
I had to do that recently, though, Pete, with one of the collab beers we did for the Collabathon. I looked at the brewer and I looked at Liam, who's our cicerone, and said, what style are we going with this? And they both just went,
Yeah.
it's like, that's the best we could do.
It's got a slight tartness to it, but I mean, I would put that,
like a fruit beer, like
a little. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of got that slight tartness of not a super sour kiwi fruit, just one of those nicely ripened kiwi fruit. Just that it's got that little bit there. It's a beautiful amount of oak barrel in it.
I actually think the sourness is going to. So it's whilst it's listed as a sour, the description is we added fresh kiwi and kumquats to our golden ale and was then aged in wine barrels for a year. So so if it's white wine barrels, you're going to get a little bit of the sourness from that. And you'll get the sourness from the citrus and the kumquat and
it depends on how much fruit they put in and everything like that. For this style, I'm going to have to give that a 5. I can't fault that beer. If I was judging that, I would 110% give that a gold medal.
Yeah, nice.
There's not a single fault in that product. It's come from California, and
what's the package stage on it? Yeah,
it's just fucking flawless. Like it's just, I don't know. There's there isn't anything. I don't know. It's been imported by somebody in Fitzroy, so it's come from California to Melbourne and then to New South Wales. But that's spectacular. Yeah. It's just, I'd quite happily sit on several of those on just like a Friday night watching a movie, and 6%, not over the top.
Yeah.
There's no alcohol level to it, even though it's been through barrels and it's a golden ale and it's got fruit content. It's spectacular. Mate, it's amazing.
It's killing it on Untapped too.
It's got an average. Well, that's good. Not talking out my ass completely there.
It's got an average of just shy of 4 out of 4,000 ratings. That's a pretty fucking good average.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a bunch of losers that are like, I don't like this beer. 1.
What's the kumquat?
1. Yeah.
It's just, amazing.
Nice.
It was a random pick, but I'm fucking stoked I got it.
So you don't have beer envy this week?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. That's actually, so I have an international beer that I was going to do tonight as well, but that's the one I've elected not to do. Primarily, and it's ironic because it's the only one that's like, it's the lowest ABV out of my 9 to 11% spectrum, but it's a 750ml corked bottle, and I'm
unless you're taking the day off tomorrow, it's
well, yeah, alas I am not. So cool. That sounds really good, Dan.
I'm gonna have to go and pour some of this for my wife.
Okay,
I'll be back. You talk about.
I'll talk about
what a stellar example of a husband right there.
Yeah,
shares
that's
his
it.
beer with his wife. Yep.
So I'm drinking something a little closer to home. I'm drinking Moondog's Far Out Coffee Stout.
Well, that'll wake you up, won't it?
Felt like I needed a bit of a pick-me-up. This is an oat milk latte stout.
That's very Melbourne.
It is very Melbourne.
Very Melbourne.
I'm sorry, I only do oat milk lattes. Yeah, no, I don't do lactose. And if I wanted nuts, then I'd just answer my DMs. So it's an oat milk latte stout. Just saying, Tom. Should see some of the DM messages we get for Pixels and Pints. There's some crazy people out there.
I do not want to see your DMs, Peter, ever, no matter. No, we're not doing a live reading.
Now that would be, the Pixels and Pints DMs would be a good live reading as well.
Yeah. Especially Dan's.
Dan, before I get back to this beer, if Wen has any more, I'm assuming you picked it up from Q Cellars. Can you grab one for me, please?
Yeah, sure. We'll do.
Thank you.
What was it called again?
It's the
East meets
High
West.
Water Brewing, West meets East.
Oh, now that's just counterintuitive.
Yeah, I know. I'm assuming that's why they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's losing a star when I read it for that. Couldn't type it into Untapped because I got confused with directions. 4 stars.
So anyway, back to Moondog's Far Out Coffee Stout. My oat milk latte.
Milk latte.
It is very, very coffee bitter. It's not a beery bitterness. It's a coffee bitterness, which I'm quite impressed by, to be honest. It's almost got it's almost too sharp on the edge of the tongue when you breathe in after you've swallowed the beer. And it is very creamy, I've got to say. I hate using that word when I'm talking about beer, but it is.
That's an oat
but if
milk
that's
stout.
what they-
It should be
Yeah.
creamy. Yeah.
Yeah, should be. Yeah.
And it's got quite a lot of residual sugar. So I'd say they've added lactose towards the end because
You just need a little
foam.
caffeine.
It's called the
mustache.
Belgian dip. That's how we do it in Belgium.
Oaty, beanie, and creamy, a latte stout from Melbourne. How dreamy.
It shouldn't have any lactose in if it's oat milk.
Yeah, no, it's
No.
it's definitely not lactose because it is vegan friendly.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I would laugh so hard being not a vegan if someone wrote vegan friendly just to imply that it can be friends with vegans, but it's not actually a vegan product. But that's just because I'm a complete asshole.
Also shows you don't work in the food and beverage industry.
And therefore don't risk jail for shit like that. It's actually a really fucking good beer, to be honest. And it smells like someone took an unflavored beer and poured a shot of coffee into it. Like the aroma is 100% like black coffee.
How many
fucking great.
how many like coffee milk stouts have you had, Peter?
On this podcast?
Just in general. This is a leading into question about this beer.
5 or 6. And we've tried.
Would you say that? So this is a thing I have with oat milk that I always find it like super sweet. Do you
It is
find
very sweet.
It is? Okay.
But to be honest with you, whilst it's noticeably sweet, the sharpness the sharpness and bitterness from the coffee notes, from the like that real roasty coffee, overpowers the fuck out of the sweetness to the point where it's almost too much.
Did they use a particular roastery? Do they label it or?
No, it doesn't mention it. It's not a collab with anybody.
Yeah.
No, it's probably just Victoria pods from Woolworths. I've got no idea.
Oh, no, the only reason I ask is because having been to the OG Moondog, there is a really nice coffee shop around the corner. So I was wondering if they used whatever beans
they probably did, but no, it's nothing's mentioned. But that coffee bitterness is like I haven't had a mouthful for a solid 30 seconds now, and I can still taste that sharpness. So that's lingering. But other than that, I'm going to give that a 4 because I really think whilst the bitterness and the sweetness are well balanced, the bitterness lasts way too long. Like it should have cleared my palate by now. So it was not something you'd be able to session very easily. Like you'd hit palate fatigue pretty quick.
Oh no, that attitude. Turn that frown upside down. Fucking start chugging coffee milk stouts, boy.
Alrighty then. We'll see how we go if I'm fucking bouncing off the walls.
Move over vodka Red Bull.
All right, let's get on to some news, shall we?
Just quickly before we do that, Peter, I'm going to tease the listeners with this because you can beat them to it. You've got the Beer Cartel does have that East meets West in stock.
West
Currently,
meets East.
low stock though. Low stock. So get in quick.
Which usually means by the time I get there, it's out.
And
at
also
least
by the time this comes out, it's out.
At least I can talk to the dude and and find out what his fucking name is. Every time I go to Beer Cartel, which is where I source all my beers for the podcast now, I talk to this.
Is it not Kieran? Is it Kieran on Pixel? No, he's up.
He's up in the mountains. Yeah, he doesn't have time to work in Artarmut anymore.
I was wondering how you're going to finish that, Dan.
That
Doesn't have
dwarf.
time to.
He's not actually a dwarf. It's just
Doesn't have time to kick it with lowly retards like
No,
Pints.
lowlands. I believe it's
retards.
lowland people.
No, he lives towards you guys, but fucking works in fucking Katoomba.
You're not talking MC, Kieran, are you?
No.
Okay. Fucking getting.
No, Kieran used to work for Beer Cartel, and he's opening Pixel Brewing. He's going up there.
Okay. Probably not Kieran then. No, just a tall, dude.
Damn, because Kieran's a fucking legend.
I always go to Beer Cartel at like mid-afternoon or mid-morning. It has to be mid-afternoon because they open at midday. But it's always
for it.
Sorry.
Why are you getting paid for it?
Yeah,
On the clock.
It's like a 2 o'clock lunch break, a late lunch break.
Yep.
Dan, it's all legit.
Boss
Shut
makes
up.
$1, I make a dime. That's why I poop on company time.
That was going through my head
Remember
the other
that,
day.
people?
I couldn't get that out of my fucking head. It was on loop. So he's always good for a chat because he's got fuck all to do. So he made a shit ton of beer recommendations this afternoon. So wish I knew his name so I could give him credit. But yeah, anywho.
Now you have to awkwardly ask for it next time you see him.
Yeah, bro, what is your name? And I make a point of mentioning the podcast every time I go in there, and not once has he asked me, what's the name of the podcast? I'm like,
You probably just
I mean, I don't blame
doesn't
him.
give a fuck.
politeness alone would indicate you should ask, even if you have no intention of listening, but that's fine. I'm still gonna hashtag your ass when I figure out who you are. Shall we move on to some news?
We interrupt this broadcast with some breaking news from the front.
I'm going to put something into the news that isn't on the run sheet.
Let's start with that.
Because it's a very special announcement for me. And my sister and her husband, Dan is an avid listener of ours. You guys would have met them at the party.
Yep.
But they had a healthy baby boy the other week.
Congratulations.
Future podcast listener in the works. So I'd like to welcome Patrick Michael Ridsdale into the world. And yes, he's healthy, mum's healthy, and dad's torn between his two babies now, the physical baby and his PS5, as he should be.
As he should be.
But
all is well with
Dan,
the world.
as a listener and a devoted fan of ours, we'd like to say congratulations. Yes. And I look forward to meeting my nephew, my newest nephew. Haven't been able to because Emma's had a bit of a flu, so we're not going to go near the kid. Safety first.
Congratulations.
But yes, that is a little surprise news I forgot to put on the run sheet earlier.
Nice.
But,
Congratulations.
Happy announcements. We love those.
We do love those.
We do.
I actually, speaking of which, I've just realised my niece is almost 2, and I still haven't fucking met her because my brother freaked out a little bit. They had their first daughter, or their first
I
child.
I remember you talking about this.
Just as COVID lockdowns were hitting, and they kind of freaked out a little bit, and then he got carried away with work, and it was only occurred to me the other day, she's almost fucking 2 and I've never met her. That's really bad. Jamie, if you're listening, you suck. Anyway, start with your first news topic, please, Tomo.
Oh, the Embracer Group. Now, we've talked about these guys before. The current dudes who are literally trying to buy up everything. So they're the guys. They're a Swedish group. They've already bought THQ, Saber Interactive, Aspire. So they're working on they're the guys who are controlling the companies. They're working on the Coda remake, Darksiders. What else? I think they did Saber did the Crisis remakes and stuff. So they formed a new branch of their company called Embracer Free Mode. They built up a Japanese studio from memory. I think another Swedish studio, a couple of the European ones. But the big one they bought recently was Middle-earth Enterprises, which they are going to put under that band of the Embracer Free Mode. And it looks like they're trying to expand into other medias because they've said that they want to bring in movies and series based around characters like Gandalf, Aragorn, Galadriel. They just want to expand the IP, whether it's new games or we might be 2 years down the track, 3 years down the track, and suddenly here's the Aragorn movie. And look,
No.
If I get a movie that's 2.5 hours long of Aragorn just tracking shit through the wilderness.
But that's, you may as well just watch The Witcher. Well, I mean not, but kind of, sort of.
You may, but
I just...
Aragorn. Whether or not it's a good idea, it's
not a good idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
I don't think it'll work.
Isengard.
Make me a Witcher game as Aragorn, but not the same because he can't do signs, but actively tracking. And you got to place Hare on the ground. Then Legolas is actually, it's one of those funniest moments in the movies. So when Aragorn's tracking by listening through the ground, And then he goes, Legolas, what do your elf eyes see? In the book, Legolas trolls the fuck out of him because Aragorn's listening to the ground and he's like, yeah, there's a group of riders and they're riding quickly towards us. And then Legolas goes, yes, there are 105 of them. Their spears are silver and their hair golden. It's just like, all right, elf boy, fuck yourself. Like, shit.
We will...
But yeah, that's happening. That's a big
We will
purchase.
dip our toe in the waters that is Rings of Power a little later in the episode. We're not going to cover it in depth, but just a little dab. Just a little
Just a
dab.
tip.
Yeah, test.
Thank
the
you,
temp.
Dan.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's a great idea to start trying to rewrite Tolkien's... I don't think it's a great idea to start expanding the IP. Like,
no, you said something about rewriting. Yeah,
I don't mean rewrite. What I mean is take Take three paragraphs or 3 sentences out of the Similarium, however you pronounce it, Silmarillion. Thank you.
Silmarillion,
and then just write a whole fucking 3-hour movie based on it. Now, I know in principle Rings of Power, in fact, Rings of Power they've stated is more based on the appendixes at the end of the Lord of the Rings trilogy than it is on Silmarillion. Although obviously some of the content from Simmer still came in. But
honestly, who could make sense of what the fuck's happened in the Silmarillion? That is just a fever dream of...
it reminds me... So I had a crack at reading... I didn't sit down with any intent to read the book. But I have a copy of the book and I just flicked through it just to read some of the quatrains. It reminded me so much of reading Dante's Inferno. It's not in that, poorly translated epic poem style, but it's not too
It is epic
far
poem. It's meant to be an epic poem. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the Embracer Group. You want to talk about a company that's trying to buy everything? Have you heard about, did you hear that Tencent just poured another 300 million euros into the parent company for Ubisoft? So Tencent is a Chinese conglomerate and they've been buying shit tons of shares in various game developers, but they're doing it. It's not that it's not shady in terms of it being hidden, but they do it in a way that it doesn't threaten shareholders directly. So instead of buying stock in Ubisoft, which they already own quite a lot in, they bought stock in the parent company, which is the Guillemot brothers. And the Guillemot brothers are the controlling stake in Ubisoft.
I've heard of it. What kind of a company name's that?
Well, the Guillemot, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but they're the brothers that started Ubisoft. They're the French guys. That's right.
Brothers, yeah.
So they're the French holding company. So they're the brothers that started Ubisoft as a business a million years ago. And it's not uncommon for a trading company to be owned by a holding company that's a different entity, right? So but this Tencent have bought shares into the Guillemot brothers company, and that gives them a controlling stake in the company. But they've got narrowed voting rights and shit. So again, it's just there to, not scare away the shareholders, the rest of the shareholders. But talk about buying up companies. For Ubisoft to have to, or for the Guillemot family to have to go to tell to Ubisoft shareholders and say, this is not a takeover, tells you that obviously there's some pretty big movements going on in that market at the moment.
Yeah, shell companies and Batman and shit. I remember that from listening. I don't know. I don't understand the stock market. It's remember it's crashed a couple of times and they made some movies about it.
It's about to crash again. PSVR 2.
Yay!
I've been trying to stay away from looking at PSVR 2 stuff, but because every time I do, I get a fucking boner that lasts days.
You should see a doctor.
Have you tried to flick it, sir? Flick it. If that doesn't work, you get a rubber band and you flick the balls.
Oh no, it's getting worse.
It's a quote from a movie in the accent from the movie.
It's anyway PSVR 2. It's got nothing to do with PSVR 2. That's what I was saying. It was getting worse. Getting further away from the topic. Early 2023. Start saving your pennies now, Peter. I know you're going to be a day launch.
Correct.
Remember this thing?
Horizon.
Yep.
Horizon. They're re-releasing.
They haven't released any more games for it, have they?
No Man's Sky have confirmed they're doing it for PSVR 2, or they're already in development for PSVR 2 port. They were an early adopter of PSVR as well.
Yeah.
But it's just a patch. It's not a standalone game. It's just a patch for the existing game to to enable it to work through the PlayStation VR, which I think is a cool way of doing it. Well, you're not co-developing, you're not kind of taking things in different directions. There's no delineation. It's just we release a patch to everyone who owns the game and now it works.
Yeah. That's a good way to do it.
But apart from that, no one else has really announced a massive. There's no AAA titles for it at all.
Yeah.
Yet.
And that's the problem. That's the
Other than
problem with
Horizon.
the whole thing outside of some of the stuff that's on PC. I mean, there's even limited PC VR stuff. I mean, there's shitloads of PC VR stuff.
But it's all indie.
Yeah,
And a lot of it's dodgy.
Yeah, exactly. You look at Half-Life Alyx is the big one that stands out in mind for anything running through a PC. And what else? I mean,
we need more porn adoption for VR because that'll push like it. Well, I'm not even joking, Dan. I mean, that's what pushed all the technology in your PC or you fucking.
Yeah, but that doesn't
need
make
the porn industry to get behind it.
That doesn't make developers want to go and use that platform to make a game.
No,
That
but
just
what's
means
stopping
more
them
people
is
buy the
adoption.
technology.
What's stopping developers from investing in AAA titles for VR is a lack of hardware out there. They don't want to. They don't want to spend $100 million. It's DualSense in a different sense. There, I wrote the ad for them.
I get what you're saying, and I know I've heard people talk about that stuff in the past with Blu-ray and all that sort of shit, and VHS,
we've
Beta
talked
Ray, and
about
all that. Oh yeah, but it still doesn't.
Yeah, you should see my collection of Betamax porns.
It belongs in a museum.
You before that, you've got the whole fucking reel-to-reel. Yeah, but it's still the developers still have to have a good idea. They still have to have implementation, and they have to have people interested in it. And so far, you've gotten a whole bunch of indie games that I'm sure some of them are fucking amazing, but as far as I understand, none of them are the length of what an old school regular game is. And it's just it's not just about getting
what will drive
hardware
adoption.
wait a minute, it's not just about getting the hardware into people's like hands and houses. It's about having content that is creative enough to keep people engaged in.
Because it's like you buy it once, and then it's like if you don't have regular content coming out for it that's engaging and that you want to involve in, you're just gonna be like, oh, that's gonna gather dust over there. It's good, $700 I just spent. Yeah,
like my original PSVR. But look, in my opinion, there's two paths. There's the path that it feels like we're currently stuck on, and that is developers are holding back unless and until they've got a good idea that's VR specific that implements all of the VR kind of spectrum in their game. And it's a standalone, this is a VR only game. You will not be able to play it without a VR headset, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Or you go down the No Man's Sky Skyrim route and, hey, we're releasing a first person whatever. We're going to release it with full PSVR support as well. That gets you enough adoption for people who want to play VR games to be able to play AAA titles in VR that weren't developed specifically for VR. It's just a control set kind of remap. And that's it.
Yeah, but I mean, also a lot of those things are, a lot of those games that can even be adopted for that sort of thing are few and far between, even in their own, like there's No Man's Sky and then there's...
Well, there's any first person RPG can definitely be like...
Any first person shooter, any first person game full stop. And in fact, Skyrim wasn't locked to first person.
It wasn't locked, but it wanted you to play in first person.
Yeah, it was pretty dodgy in third when it first came out. It was a very stick up the arse kind of character. Just he swiveled at the hips, and there was no midsection.
Yeah, and when he crouched, he ran like this.
Yeah.
So I missed all that because the one and only time I played Skyrim was in VR, and you could certainly play it from memory. You could play it third person over shoulder, and if you could, then there's Horizon Zero Dawn and all the successes, that style of game. Could you play I'm playing Tiny Tina's. That could have easily have been a VR implemented game. It's just a controller remapping.
Single player, like you wouldn't want to play multiplayer first person shooter in VR.
Why?
I just think it's well at the moment like maybe in VR too, but it's just every like VR experience I've had, it's so there's the lag and delay. It's just it doesn't feel as smooth as controller or mouse, especially for.
Yeah, I don't feel that that's a VR issue. I feel, and I don't know because I'm not a game developer, but I suspect that's because they've had some lofty goals. And the types of games you're talking about that supported VR were like Rogue One, was it Squadrons?
Star Wars Squadrons, yeah.
Star Wars Squadrons was VR, but that was laggy as fuck even without VR.
Yeah, I mean,
what else?
How many of us made it past the first mission?
There was
hence our conversation the other day.
Yeah.
Eve Valkyrie. Eve Valkyrie was an early PSVR title, and that was up to I think 30 ships, and it's very similar, and there was zero fucking lag. There was no lag whatsoever. So I've got no conceptual issue with a massive like a multiplayer VR game. Because the lag's got to do with their implementation of the game engine, not the PlayStation, not the VR engine, if that makes sense. That's all offloaded to the hardware in your house. It's got nothing to do with anything that's going on behind the scenes. So I'd fucking totally play a first-person shooter. As long as the controller was accurate enough that you could shoot straight, I don't see the disadvantage. In fact, it's probably more aligned to the twitch capabilities of a mouse and keyboard than a controller ever will be. Because I can turn my hand to point where I want to shoot a lot faster than
that's a very good point. Yeah,
yeah. As long as the
implementation is
exactly.
Well, there you go. That's who they need to get behind it. Screw the porn industry. That's a funny joke. Get some pro COD players into a VR version of COD and get them behind
Fortnite.
it.
Yeah,
that's where you get people on board.
Asking Insta Fit girls to come up with the next gym idea, like it's not the right. Or they need money.
They just want to sell hardware, buddy.
They want to sell gym fits. Gym fits.
It's the shake and
gym.
weight.
It's a gym outfit.
it's that board you stand on, the board that you stand on that fucking vibrates your legs backwards and forwards.
And then you put that giant belt around you, and you're suddenly in one of those 1930s like onesie work outfits, and they're just like.
Can see the attraction. Anyway, what you need is like the Call of Duty players group is a good idea if they were all multi-squillionaires and had money to actually invest. What you need is investment. Anyway, we get stuck on fucking VR every time we bring it up.
So much money.
It's my fault. I know.
Topic 2, and we're like 40 minutes into this recording.
I know. That's all right. We've got that much news. It's the whole episode. This is a news episode. I'll cover. Well, actually, you wanted to talk about the new controller, Tomo?
Going off that, just straight into that. It's a very, very short little piece. If you consider yourself any sort of pro gamer, in a competitive stance, they have released an official DualSense Edge Pro controller. I don't know what those Pro controllers really do.
I'm going to ask you this. Tom.
It's got the little buttons on the back, the little reach around buttons, and it's got
and little buttons
triggers
at the front too. By the way, there was two little.
I think it's easy to remap buttons or something.
And
you can have extra buttons you can map to.
Did you not read the article?
No, I don't.
Because it did explain it all.
Yeah.
Oh, you just throw this shit in the fucking show notes willy-nilly.
I was
and
busy,
goes and
Peter.
researches.
Fuck, I was busy trolling you while you were writing your notes.
So to answer your question, you can customize the dead zones.
You should have led this. Fuck, you know more about it than I do.
You can customize the dead zones on your triggers and on your thumbsticks. So you can, which is useful if you wanted a really, really sensitive throttle control in a racing game with your right kind of trigger. You can change the distance traveled before it clicks. So you can set the sensitivity essentially of all your triggers. You have remappable paddles at the back, which you can actually swap out for half domes. So if you don't like the feeling on your fingers, there's two different options, and you can remap any of your keys to those two. So if you're playing God of War, for example, and you wanted to remap, heavy attack and light attack to those two paddles, then you could play the entire game with your fingers, and never use the actual buttons. And you've got two paddles at the front. The other things you can do is remap all your buttons. You can tweak all of your force feedback, haptic settings, all that sort of shit, and you can save your profile and load profiles.
Yeah,
but
I need that at the moment. I need to be able to dull down the sensitivity of my shoot button in the Outer Worlds at the moment, because I even think about pressing the shoot button, and suddenly I've shot someone in the face that I'm trying to get a quest off. I'm like, for fuck's sake, gotta reload again. It is hair trigger, like so sensitive.
A lot
I
of those
don't
games
know if
already
I can
have those
choose.
settings. If you poke around in the menu, a lot of those
No,
games have
because
those.
I think because it's a PS4 and I'm playing it on the PS5, I think there's like there's a change in how sensitive it is. But yeah,
Right.
it's just been like, now it's like I've got to very carefully like hold the controller with my middle finger up, just being like, don't press it, don't even look at it, don't even think about shooting.
The only advantage I saw to the Pro Controller was that it has designed in releases for the thumbsticks, and they give you 3 different shaped thumbsticks.
Oh.
So if you don't like the standard height or shape, you can change it for a higher or a shorter traveled. And I would love a
Tiny
longer
thumbs.
one for no. So if you're playing like a Call of Duty first person shooter where you need highly accurate sniping shots, having a longer stick is actually quite helpful. And you can get those aftermarket stick-on ones, but I found that those are pretty shit. But I would challenge you, Tom, when you open this as it's aimed at pro gamers. What percentage of pro gamers play PlayStation 5 as their device of choice for their programming? I reckon the percentage has got to be pretty fucking low.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Most pro gamers are PC gamers. I would submit.
Oh, definitely, yeah. No, but I'm saying for the people, that's why I said pro gamers, and I can't put it in inverted commas.
So the market is the people that want to consider themselves pro gamers, and that's the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to breeze through this Ubisoft Forward content because this is the one you were giving me shit about earlier. So,
no, I was just saw you typing, and I was like, well,
it's all in
Peter's
good
typing.
fun.
This is going to distract him.
So Ubisoft Forward is their development conference on the 10th, so that's this Saturday. And they've sprung more leaks than a fucking sinking ship in the last couple of days. So we already know that they're announcing Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is set in Baghdad. You are playing... So interestingly enough, Mirage was originally a DLC for Valhalla. It was planned to be a DLC for Valhalla. Basim Ibn Ishaq, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, is an NPC character in Valhalla. It's in one of the tents in your city. I think you rescue him as part of the quests towards the end of the main storyline.
Yeah, right.
So that's actually supposedly who you're playing in AC Mirage. So yeah, originally DLC, and they realized the story scope was big enough to be a standalone game. Okay, all well and good. We all expect another AC game, but apparently there's up to 3 more AC titles coming out at the same time.
What's the 15-year
That was exactly my fucking response as well. I don't know, Tom.
Though? You're going to buy all the statues.
I'll buy all the statues. I'm just not sure I'll play all the games. So apparently there's one set in feudal Japan. Sorry, but Ghost of Tsushima got there well before you did. Being developed by...
Well, only if you play like we play. If you play like Dan plays, it's not an Assassin's Creed clone.
No, I played the same way Dan did. Sneaky,
stabby,
yeah, we talked about that.
Kunai. Yeah.
No. I walked through the front gate every fucking time. Challenged those motherfuckers.
Poison the fuck out of those bitches. Take that, you Mongol fucks.
So Ubisoft Quebec is working on feudal Japan-based AC, and then Ubisoft Montreal is working on a late Holy Roman Empire set AC game. Now, they're both on their new Infinity platform, which smells to me like they've settled on an Assassin's Creed open-world game engine, like an Unreal-style engine, and they're just going to slot content into this same platform so they can turn the wheel and a turd comes out the fucking cookie cutter machine and box it up and charge you $110 for it. And just to show how shitty this company really is, they're giving away free DLC depending on how many minutes you watch their conference for on Saturday.
Oh, fuck off.
I
Really?
am dead set serious. There's 4 stages. If you watch their conference for 10 minutes, then you get one shitty little DLC. 20 minutes, you get a bigger one. 30 minutes, you get another one. And then
Are they actively
biggest one is
eye-tracking
60
you?
minutes.
Are they actively eye-tracking you?
Fuck knows. But seriously.
Gotta have
Like,
your camera on.
Talk about microtransactions gone too far. Oh, and they're also releasing a shitty...
They don't know. No, they definitely do not want people to have their camera on. Because you'll have a group of dudes just there, just fucking pulling themselves off, just being like, take this, Ubisoft, you wankers. Like, you forced me to have my camera on, this is what you're saying. You'd have me dancing in my underwear for an hour on their live stream.
And they're doing a shitty mobile game that no one wants. Anyway. Cyberpunk 2077 is getting their first expansion.
Oh, got him.
I knew it was coming, and I didn't even pay attention to this news.
Yeah, so Phantom Liberty is the announced DLC for Cyberpunk 2077.
Is it going to be a Metal Gear Solid ripoff? Kind of sounds like it's meant to be.
Phantom Liberty.
Phantom Limb, Sons of Liberty, they're both Metal Gear Solid games.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves has got a, Johnny Silverhand, he's got a metal arm.
Yeah.
We
could potentially have a pretty funny parody on our hands, actually.
So apparently their final patch is due out very soon, and then they're considering the game, the core game, finished. Like, it's only taken them 3 years to finish beta testing. I might actually go and start playing the game once they declare it done. That way, if it's still a steaming pile of shit, then we know that's the problem with the game.
It's not. Like, it's got good characters. The main story is... Like, I would go and play it again for the main story, making a few different choices here and there.
Yeah.
Some of the side quests are really good and fun. Some of them are a bit pointless and waste of time-ish, but I mean, you get that everywhere. But overall, it's probably a good game. Take out some of the bad driving mechanics and the fairly empty mega city that is meant to be there. It's fucking pretty. The voice acting's good. The story's good. So yeah, I mean, it's worth.
I'm just
playing.
amazed that Keanu Reeves is coming back for the DLC.
They probably already locked him in with the millions of dollars before they released it. Yeah.
Next bit of
They
news.
used all those coins they tossed to their witches.
Dan, do you want to cover any of this news?
No.
You're welcome to jump in.
Dan doesn't read the news.
John Williams demonstrated one of his new compositions for Indiana Jones 5. The
new Femme Fatale track.
The Last Turd. Yeah, that's right. It's going to be the last Harrison Ford... Well, it's definitely the last Harrison Ford indie movie. It might be the last Harrison Ford movie. The guy's getting pretty old. And John Williams himself is he's over 90 now, and he's already said this is the last movie. What?
Sorry to jump in on.
No, please.
I love Harrison Ford as much as the next person. His whole attitude towards everything, as well as the movies he's been in.
It's fuck everything is his attitude.
Have you seen that the behind the scenes of that one that he did with the CGI dog?
No.
So he did
the one where it's like you finally get off that acid trip and you realize you weren't traveling through the space with a Wookiee and it's just him and the giant dog.
No. He did a movie a couple of years ago. I'll have to find it.
Yeah, but the image is him with the giant dog, and it's like when the acid finally wears off, and it's like Harrison Ford.
It was a Chewbacca cross reference.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you watch the behind the scenes, they actually had a dude acting against Harrison Ford on all fours in a mocap suit. Is the fucking weirdest, most awkward thing you've ever seen.
One of those dudes from like the I'm a Dog community, like the people who like that would be
or
good representation.
Yeah. Or a furry.
There it is, furries. It's
now fuck me, Harrison.
I'll find the name of the movie.
What do you think the furry community's about, Tom? It's a sexual.
You have to put that image in my head. I'm trying to stop it. The image is coming towards me.
The sit boy. Put that red rocket away.
There's one point in the behind the scenes, and the dude like crawls up to Harrison Ford, and this is fucking Harrison Ford, like Hollywood movie royalty.
Yeah.
And this dude's crawling up to him in a fucking grey mocap suit on all fours. It's fucking awkward. Really awkward. I'll find it and you can like post it.
Probably on Disney Plus, because I'm pretty sure it was a Disney.
I'm pretty sure it was a Disney movie. Yeah.
You know what I've always found funny about those behind the scenes shots is how frequently those mocap dudes are in about as good a shape as I am. Like, you think if your full-time career was to wear a one-piece lycra suit that leaves nothing to the imagination, you'd take some time to go to the gym and get a little bit into shape.
Nah, dude, just look at all those old men cyclists that go around Sydney.
I'm not. The mammals.
Cop that, you mammals. Yeah. Get off my road.
Anyway,
sorry, I interrupted.
No,
it
that's
just
fine.
popped into my head. Yeah,
it's look, and John Williams has already said it's his last movie he'll be composing for ever. He plans to do some indie stuff and some independent.
He said he thinks it will be. If Harrison's still doing it, I can still do it, but I think it will be.
But Harrison's already said I'm not doing another fucking indie movie.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's 90, but he's still fucking got it. That was good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That was good. It was like there was so much classic indie into it, but then was just like a little bit more. And like it's one of the things I love about John Williams is like he as a composer, he goes through stages, and you can hear it in his stages. So if you actually listen to a lot of like not the big themes, if you listen to the episode 1 soundtrack, there are a lot of little like motifs that are mirrored in the first Harry Potter soundtrack. And it's like little bits just tail off the end of a piece. And it's there because that's how obviously he's composing 17,000 different things at once. And but it works, but they also work for the environment. So it's like if you like Michael, what's his name? Michael Giannocchio, who's like the big new like Marvel composer and like does a lot of game stuff. And he did the Star Treks, he did all those. You can often like, if you listen to his tracks without like on shuffle, it's actually a fun game to be like, which movie's this? It's close enough, but different enough. And it's always a fun game to, if you're very bored, jump on Spotify and just press shuffle on that artist or composer and just see if you can pick them. You'll be surprised how often you can't. But yeah, just through that, you heard like, it teased the beginning of the Raiders theme. It teased it. It was like, here's a little droplet of Raiders theme into your like parched mouth, and you went, oh yes, I want it to just burst into like the full Raiders march. And then he's like, nah, fuck yeah, here you go. Here's the rest of the theme I just composed. He's a clever bastard, that John Williams. He's not 90. He's an immortal. He's pulling the wool over our eyes. I'm onto him. That's my new conspiracy theory. Anyway, moving right along.
Yes, you've got the rest of the news, mate.
I do. My favorite section that Peter hates, the new PS Plus games.
Well, only because by the time we release these episodes, because Pete's been so busy, that they're last month's fucking PS Plus episodes.
Well, they might still be able to grab them. If you just have that essential tier, you get the one of the newer Need for Speed games, Heat. Good arcadey racing fun. Toem, which I hadn't really heard of, but I read a review which was like, if you're playing like an indie black and white Pokemon Snap, and I was not enthused.
That was a whole bunch of words that I understood one in.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Snap.
Well, I understand Snap, but not in that context. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You've got Google, watch a trailer. And then Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, which looks like it's...
Isn't that the stuff you put in diesel truck? Sorry, carry on.
Fantasy? You put fantasy, like what, Mariah Carey's Fantasy? I don't know. It looks something straight out of a Final Fantasy game. It's high. Gotta stop saying the word fantasy. It's starting to bug me. But that kind of like aesthetic.
Ye oldie style.
Ye oldie magic, high elves and castles floating and magic.
What word are you
going
to use to replace fantasy, buddy?
I don't know, but like it's meant to be. It looks high fantasy, but I guess it's some kind of maybe a fighting game. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, if you have got halfway through Red Dead 2...
Ed's going to have our ass for not knowing what Grand Blue Fantasy Versus is, though.
Well, he can jump on here and tell us all about
it. That's right.
Yeah. Now, he's 2 hours behind us, so by the time it reaches him, we'll be able to, like, run. He'll never catch us. Yes, if you have started playing Red Dead 2 and you've got the new PS tiers, and that was one of the games they released in the extra... It's about to go. I think you got till the 17th of September or 20th. 20th of September. That's the date. So if you're halfway through the story, come on, pound through it, because otherwise you lose access to the game. Like you then have to pay full for it. So this is the thing. It's because of that Game Pass model where it's you essentially are renting the game for a extended amount of time. But yeah, so
I bought
20th of September. Red Dead's it's like the third or fourth game to be dropped from that. But they are adding a bunch of games on the 20th to replace it, one including Deathloop, which I'm definitely going to jump into because that looks super cool. You got AC Origins is on there, Watch Dogs 2, the remake of Alex Kidd in Miracle World, which I'll definitely play as well.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And then there was a list of other Ubisoft games that are coming to it. There was like 12, 14 Ubisoft games,
Right.
and the Sly Cooper trilogy. If you ever wanted to play them, they remade them for the PS4. So they're going to jump on there too. And then I thought this was entertaining. If you guys haven't seen it yet, you should definitely jump into it.
Yep.
Rick and Morty did a little, I said mini crossover. It's definitely an ad. Peter was right. For God of War Ragnarok, where, Rick shaves his head and then puts the red paint on himself and gets a Leviathan axe. And it was typical Rick and Morty. Also, episode 1 of season 6 is on Netflix. If you haven't seen it yet, it is.
Oh, nice.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it came out yesterday. It's references a few of our favorite titles as well. It's just as batshit crazy as ever. It's classic Rick and Morty. And then
Love Rick and
I
Morty.
don't know what's the last bit. Peter, last one. Is you.
Shazam! Fury of the Gods pushed the middle of next year, and 3 people cared.
Yay! Next beers.
Boo. Yeah, boo. Yeah, I am actually going to duck away and grab my second beer.
Yeah, I got to get mine too. So Tom needs to talk about his, and then
No, I get to talk to the people while you go.
do the
Bye-bye.
crisscross.
Bye bye.
You go.
No,
All right.
you both go at once. Leave me with the people.
No.
Yeah.
No,
And in
I'll
this
be right back.
episode, we talk about how we're going to kill Peter.
Oh no, you could totally have that conversation. That's not the ones I'm
He
worried
gets
about.
to edit it. He can listen to the whole thing. I'm still. Well, no, I finished the banana-y milkshakey. That's not a milkshake. Banana Esther's beer, and I needed to rinse my glass out with my starter beer that I had over dinner.
Yeah.
So I've got my second beer. I just haven't cracked it yet.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay. Well, what are we going to talk about for the next 30 seconds?
Oh, we can start talking about Arcane. Emma and I smashed through it.
Oh, yeah. Really good.
Arcane was sick. It was so
fucking
good.
beautiful. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. Some of the best animation I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. And I watched the Corridor Crew guys did a bit of a breakdown of the animation, and they talked a lot about how there's.
For those listening at home, what we're talking about is a series on Netflix, which is based on the League of Legends games. I've never played League of Legends, so I don't know how into
because you
the
hit
actual
puberty,
games
Tom.
it is. I think it's just more in those games have been going on for forever that it's in the lore of that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And they used a lot of 2D animation that they then manipulated to 3D stuff, and I'm not doing justice of how the animator explained it, but it's just the way they
It
did it.
does kind of look like paper, like folded paper almost.
You're talking about Everywhere All at Once.
No,
Arcane. Arcane on the Netflix animation series, the League of Legends series. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, yeah. So Emma and I just recently smashed through it. It's 40-minute episodes. There's
Good?
10 of them.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
really
amazing.
good.
It's excellent.
Really, really
Yeah,
good.
cool. All right.
Fuck, I want those big hands. Oh, I want those gauntlet big hands so bad. Oh.
She was a fucking fantastic character. It's actually, both the sisters were, I've got to say.
Yeah.
But they just portrayed them all amazingly. I thought it was great. The
Yeah.
fight scenes were epic. The hand-to-hand fighting was just great for animation.
And it's steampunky, magic-y crossover world. So there's like steampunk like weapon elements that have a little bit of like towards the end like magic put through them. So it's like it's a really cool aesthetic as well. Like the whole world, but the whole world felt breathed and lived in. I liked it really as well. Like at first when you're in because there's it's a class war essentially. So you've got the top city where there's like the learned people in the university, and then you got the undercity, which is the thugs, and that's where all the street crime is happening and thieves and everything like that. But you didn't really see that many non-human characters in the first couple episodes when they were kids. But when there's a time jump like 3 or 4 episodes in, and all of a sudden there's non-human characters everywhere, and it suddenly felt like a more lived-in undercity in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
And it's like it was a great feeling of crossover between like a steampunk world and like I got real Final Fantasy like 10, 12 vibes. For people who've played those games at home, they might get that, where it's like you got like different races would have would lean into their different abilities, especially when they can then add like it's not like it's essentially like a super soldier drug. Like it's like a
right.
That becomes like, but it becomes the scourge of the undersea. So anyone can get their hands
Like
on it, but they
Venom.
get addicted to it. Yeah. but yeah, and then they bring in all these like high arcane runic magics that they're trying to develop into. It's like technology being mixed with magic, and then you get these big off pair of fucking gauntlets that you just want to smash. It's like, yeah, it's super cool. And then the fight scenes are beautifully choreographed. Just enough slow-mo to make it like look like a painting come to life, but then it like speeds up super quickly, so you feel like it's not static.
So it's dynamic. Yeah.
It was very well done. But yeah, it took us like 3 nights to smash through all 10 episodes.
There's little things in the animation that these guys on the corridor crew were pointing out that makes the feel of motion and things like that. And one thing that really stood out was when, it's been months since I watched it, Tom, so you're gonna have to correct me. When it's Nyx is the younger sister, Jinx is bashing up a punching dummy that her older sister used to fight. Yeah. And there's one time she does a kick and like the holster on her hip just does this little wiggle when her foot connects, and it's just that it just portrays that kinetic motion. She stopped, like the leg stops up here, but then the holster on the other hip just wobbles a little bit
just for a second. Yeah.
And it's just the things like that they pointed out, and then once you see someone point out that one thing, you then start to see it in all these other places.
Yeah, there was a lot with the costumes that they would do.
That's
that,
exactly
like
what I was about to say.
Post movement wiggle.
Yeah.
Actually, now that you mention it, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's just it's all that extra little bit that might happen in real life, but might not, or it's a super stylized sort of thing. So it's just it's a fantastic product episode. What the fuck am I trying to say?
Series.
I'm going to get my other beer. Fuck.
Yeah, go get your other beer. It's all right, man.
But yes, highly recommend. It's on Netflix for those. Haley Steinfeld is one of the lead characters in it, who was in Hawkeye. You would have seen she was the young girl in Hawkeye. A bunch of other characters, you like hear their voice and you're like, who the fuck is that? And you look them up and you're like, oh shit. So like the main like kind of dad character was voiced by the guy who voiced Rost in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, right. Yeah,
and it bugged me for 2 episodes until I looked him up, and then I was like, oh, yeah, of course it's that dude. But yeah, it's a really cool series. Easily, like, so a 40-minute episode, so you just put it on. We ended up doing, like, I think we did 3, and then 4 or whatever it was. But yeah, highly recommend for anyone wanting a nice little series. And especially it's a really good way if you are interested in, like, foraying into animated shows. Obviously, they're becoming more popular and more of them are becoming more easily accessible. It's a good little stepping stone into watching some really quality storytelling, but with an animated palette.
Visual, yeah.
There you go, visual. That's the word I was looking for.
That's cool.
But that's our first little mini review.
I'll tell you what, a name that one of the voice actors from Horizon Zero Dawn that just keeps coming up again and again lately is Lance Reddick. Yeah. He just seems to be fucking everywhere. So he voices Silence in the game, and I've seen him before. He was in Supergirl. I'm fairly certain he was he was anti-Superman. What's it?
Right.
It's not. I don't think
he does have one of those voices though that just
he does very distinctive
and commanding and
So John Wick 3, everyone knows him from John Wick 3. I'm fairly certain he was in Supergirl. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. That would be terrible. Anywho, shall I talk about House of the Dragon while Dan's gone?
Yes, do. I'm interested to hear your take because you've heard mine. I'm still burnt out from the last 2 seasons. I haven't been able to jump into it.
Oh, right. That was your take. I was going to say, I don't remember you mentioning anything about your thoughts on House of the Dragon.
Oh, no, just that I'm very slow to get excited and get into it because I was so burnt out by the last,
I've got to say, my personal opinion, we're only 3 episodes in, so this is not going to be a solid, like a proper review, but the production quality, the style, the visuals, and the budget 100% match up to the heyday of the Game of Thrones series.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not talking about the spectacular foul that was the final season, and we're not talking about the low budget early couple of seasons. We're talking like smack bang in the kind of the the end of Act 2, start of Act 3 of the series. So big budget, high quality visuals.
4, 5, 6 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Solid as fuck. And I'm glad that it's a continuation almost, because I'm fairly certain the showrunners are totally different. I'm just trying to look that up in IMDb. I'm not a very good multitasker.
Actually, that's actually interesting you say that, because I read something that people were disowning the last 2 seasons. This was like
George R.R. Martin being the main one.
Yeah, no, but even in like a subtle way in the show, they were disowning it because the last shot of season 6 is Daenerys flying across the sea on the back of Drogon.
Yep.
And then the opening sequence of this is one of the ladies flying on her dragon, and it's meant to be like a spiritual, like, fuck season 7 and 8. You should watch 1 to 6 and then go back to this.
Yeah, perhaps. I didn't pick up on that.
I meant to say that to you. I saw it as a take on. Someone's like, this is our like fan theory take on this.
Right.
And it's like,
okay.
yeah, that's nice.
I find it interesting that George R.R. Martin himself isn't credited as a creator for Game of Thrones. He is credited as a creator for House of the Dragon. And other than that, it is a different showrunner. So the other creator is Ryan Condal, and Game of Thrones was David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. And we've seen D.B. Weiss a million times. He's been creator for a bunch of shit. Love Matt Smith in House of Dragon. Like House of the Dragon. As one of my favorite doctors, one of my 2 favorite doctors, to see him play just a perennially fucked up unit, like just cold, dark, fuck everybody, it's all about me. It's just such a good contrast, and it just goes to show that Matt Smith as an actor is a fucking great actor to be able to play that kind of that spectrum of characters. It's focused on Rhaenyra she's the daughter of the king, announced as his successor, and then a bunch of politicking. So it's straight back into the heavy politicking that is Game of Thrones. You can't get away from it. That's what that show's about. But this time with fuckloads of dragons. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it. The political intrigue is interesting enough to keep that going. It's still grounded. It reminds me a lot of some of the middle seasons of Game of Thrones where I was thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah.
The only problems I've got a couple. First of all, there's been a couple of blunders that I picked up on before I did any research for this show, and I didn't realize there are a couple more CGI blunders that I didn't pick up on that were related. So
no Starbucks cups.
No Starbucks cups. But one of the things I picked up on is we're only 3 episodes in, but the king is sick. Every time he cuts his finger, every time he sits on the throne of swords, he cuts his finger on something. And then the finger gets infected, and because we're talking ancient fantasy, the infection ends up fucking almost killing people, right? And people died from basic infections back then.
Yeah.
So he's now lost 2 fingers by episode 3. This is not a major story plot point, so I'm not spoiling.
What does that tell you? Don't make a throne out of fucking swords. Rusty
right.
metal will fucking kill you.
Or wear gloves, you dumb. Sorry, Peter. Sorry.
You fucker.
42.50. 42.50. I've written it down.
Mate.
Recording number 2.
42.50 of the second age, because
Thanks.
But,
yes.
I mean, my point stands.
Yes. So he's lost 2 fingers, but there is a shot in episode 3 where he's talking to his daughter, and she's now a teenager. She's growing up quickly. She starts off very young, and she's growing up very quickly. You can actually see from
time jumps, or
yes, but yes. So she's now 17. The same actress is playing, I think, a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old, and then you watch the trailer, and now she's a completely different actress who looks a fuckload like the first actress, playing someone in her mid to late 20s. So it will be jumping through this season. Anyways, he's talking to his daughter, and he's got his 3 fingers, and he's missing a couple.
Strong hand.
Yeah, right. And they're stumpies. They're little stumpies, the little black, like browny black ends. And then in the next scene, he picks up the glass, or he puts his hand on the table, and all 5 fingers are there. And I'm like, nah, they couldn't have fucked up that badly. And so I rewound it and paused it, and sure as shit, 5 fucking fingers very clearly on the table. I'm like, those CGI guys fucked up. And then when I was doing research for this episode, apparently there's another shot that I missed where he's actually wearing the green glove As in the green screen glove. They just didn't put the CGI plate over the top at all. So that's a pretty bad rookie error.
Let's
That's like
be honest,
not putting the name of the movie in the fucking poster.
There's been a lot of, I don't know if you guys have seen it, there's been a lot of outcry from CGI guys about how overworked and underpaid they're being at the moment.
I'm not surprised. They're doing more heavy lifting in movies than they ever have before in history.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised they went, yeah, fuck it, I'm not doing that.
I'm not CGIing that guy's glove out.
Just tell the guy to fold them in. There you go. See? No, there's stumpies. Just put some paint on it.
Bad infection. The other rumor,
practical. Get some fucking
finger guns.
Get a practical
Pow.
fucking prop maker to make him a fucking glove that pulls his two fingers in. Like,
we'll get to that when I talk about Maverick. Interestingly, there's also some strong rumors that Elizabeth Olsen and Henry Cavill are both joining the cast for season 2. Now, if they both join and you add that to Matt Smith, and some of the other actors that are floating around in that series, that's a pretty big cast. That's a pretty darn big cast.
Do you reckon that's going to be a plot line where they need to like kill one of the dragons, so they call Henry Cavill and he comes in with flowing white hair? Yeah. All the Targaryens have white hair, don't they?
The other gripe that I have about this whole series is it's a bit flawed in the sense that the main protagonist driving the plot and the person that you connect with and are supposed to connect with is Rhaenyra, the daughter of the king. Except you already know she dies because end of season 3 Game of Thrones, fucking Joffrey gives you the full history of this poor failed queen, and exactly not only that she dies, but how she dies and who kills her in what circumstance. And so we already know what's going to happen in the next couple of seasons. The main character.
Well, I mean, it's a prequel. That's always the like.
No, I get it, but pick content where you don't know the
fates. You always knew Obi-Wan was going to make it. You always knew.
Yeah,
problem with prequels. Going back.
I disagree with your blasé statements, Tom.
The Obi-Wan series, there was absolutely no stakes there, but as long as it was done well, it doesn't matter. I mean, you knew Leia was going to survive. You knew Obi-Wan was going to survive.
You knew they were going to survive. Yeah. But how much emotional investment do you put in a character that you know has maybe 10 more episodes? Less than if you didn't know their fate. And I would also argue less than if you knew they were definitely going to survive and they were essentially invulnerable.
Plot armored, yeah.
Yeah, but
I love the plot armor references.
That comes down to the writers and the script and how it's filmed. I mean, that's their job to make you invest in these people.
But you are invested. It's really frustrating.
What are you bitching about?
It's I just find it really frustrating that I know who's gonna kill her, I know how he's gonna kill her, and I know why he's gonna kill her, and I know the dragon's name that he's gonna use to kill her with. Like it's too much information about her death. So her death can never be a surprising plot twist moment in the series. Because it's already been laid bare by Joffrey. If they picked content or they picked a time...
God, Joffrey was a little dick and you hate him even more now, don't you? God, I want
to drop the C-bomb. He's just the arsehole that keeps on giving. If you're going to go back and do if you're going to do a prologue, then operate within content where the outcome might be fixed.
Maybe the little weasel was lying. Maybe he made it up.
Yeah, that's a long bow to draw, but sure. Anyway.
I don't know. I've watched season 1 of the original, and that's about it.
He was
20 minutes here and there.
So Joffrey was bragging. So he was definitely repeating directly what the historians had written in, and the Meisters had given it books. I know. But
if he's bragging, there's well could be embellishment there.
I did definitely.
He wouldn't have embellished. The historians might have.
Yeah, the historians would have. I definitely. I know it's a bad thing to say, but I think I really lost interest in Game of Thrones when the Viper died. I don't know why, but that was the turning point for me. Mainly because I've watched the edit of that with lightsabers so many times, and it's one of my favorite YouTube videos, especially when I'm a couple of drinks deep. I will just sit in the corner of a pub and be like, it's happening. And then
So I can't remember the name of the lands that the Viper came from, but that's what House of the Dragon keeps reminding me of. That kind of golden age, everything's pretty and... I mean, there's still war going on, but it's quite calm and peaceful in the capital. And we're used to the Game of Thrones where everything that bad is going on, it's all going on in the capital. And by the way, when I say Will Smith's a bad dude, I mean he's a bad
Smith.
dude.
I don't
Matt
think
Smith,
Will
sorry.
Smith's
What
in
did I
it.
say? Will Smith? No.
He just comes up and slaps the dragon.
Slaps-
I was going to say.
slaps a bitch.
We'll call him in if we need some slapping. All right, moving on. But like, I'm thoroughly enjoying it, Tom. I think you will as well. If you enjoyed Game of Thrones,
Yeah,
you'll definitely enjoy it.
I'm not, still not ready. I don't know. I just got I invested a lot of time into Game of Thrones when it was out, and I did I had the devoted crew that we got together Monday nights, and it was
Downloaded.
Or we waited till Foxtel wasn't crashing and we watched it on someone's Foxtel. But we all went over the house, everyone chipped in for pizza and did all the drinks and stuff. But it was like, as soon as the episode started, it was like, if you talk right now, I'm going
to punch you in the face.
throat.
Yeah.
I will Games of Thrones kill you. Like
I still get the playing in my head every time I see the HBO, the boom.
Yep.
And you'll I won't ruin the surprise for you on that particular part of the conversation. Definitely start watching it though. It's available on
noise because fuck.
It's available on Binge.
I don't know. Oh, actually, I'll get my dad's login for it. I mean, I won't. I'll pay for it myself.
Yes, that's right. She-Hulk. Are we all following along on She-Hulk?
Oh,
Of course, Dan's not. When has Dan been up to date with a
It's
Marvel
not
TV series?
It's not a bad show, Dan, but I'm not
It's
surprised
good
and
for
you're not
ranking.
missing
It is
much.
good. It is
I haven't-
idiot.
I haven't even watched fucking Hawk. I almost called him Bullseye then. Hawkeye that Tom keeps telling me I'm going to love.
You will definitely
If
love
I'm going to
Hawkeye.
watch something, I'm going to watch Hawkeye before I watch
Yeah.
She-Hulk.
I'm enjoying She-Hulk. I think it's just fun.
It's just
that's the thing.
It
It's
is fun. It is fun.
And it's not. It's like there is a big occurring overarch theme, but it's not shoved in your face every episode. Every episode's like
the
I feel like
first
Boston
episode.
Legal. It's like a Marvel Boston Legal with superheroes. It's great.
What I was worried about that I'm refreshingly happy that it didn't play out this way is that they weren't dragging the feminism in your face every episode. The first episode they had to address it, and then
They did it really well. They did it really well.
They did it intelligently.
That
I've got to
soliloquy
admit,
that She-Hulk has about
anger, and I have to deal with it every day, and I push it down.
That was a beautiful quote, and I wish I had it in front of me because it was well
elegantly
thought
written, and it was
out written
intelligent.
quote. Yeah,
I agree, but I sat there listening to it, also thinking in the other half of my brain, I hope that's not what this show is about.
No.
And I'm
You
glad
could see that from this, like before that, where she's like, she breaks the fourth wall just before that entire like whole section. She goes, "Guess you want to see some Hulk stuff, but by the way, we'll get to that. Then you can get involved in my lawyer stuff."
Yeah.
Really cool scene in that though is you heard the original Hulk roar.
Mm.
I think we're getting a Savage Hulk.
Mm.
I think we're getting like Planet Hulk.
You
Planet Hulk
might be
coming.
right.
We're gonna see Hulk with a big fucking arm guard, pauldron, and a massive fucking sword come back and smash, baby, smash.
By the way, they also address the Edward Norton Hulk and tie it back into the MCU.
Apparently that was also like, that was unscripted. That was
really
Mark Ruffalo like taking the piss. Like he says in one of the
perfectly
scenes, it's
just
not. He
marries
goes,
it all
"No,
back
I'm a
in."
completely different person now." Like literally, and he adds that on the end, and it's like, "Yeah, you are a completely different person now, literally." But yeah,
there's a couple of references to the events of Edward Norton's Hulk, plus the fact that we've got the Abomination means that you have to deal with the Edward Norton Hulk. So
also really cool to see the Wrecking Crew finally appear.
Yeah,
I always liked the Wrecking Crew in comics. They were cool. Enchanted Asgardian crowbars and barbells and shit. Like it's such a zany concept. Like, well, yeah, we were working on this work site and we got struck by Asgardian lightning, so now we've got magical Asgardian construction tools. We're gonna beat the shit out of you.
That was a very funny little part of that episode. Anyway, very good, worth watching. It is just one of those
half-an-hour episodes as well. That's nice. Like, it's nice.
Is it 20 minutes?
Nah, they're about half an hour.
No, they're not. They're 22 minutes with another. And I'm pissed off that Disney Plus keep doing this with MCU TV series. It looks like it's a 30 to 40 minute episode when you open it, but then the credits roll at 22 minutes, and it's like 18 minutes of fucking credits. What are you guys doing? 18 minutes of credits.
They are really good credits though. Like they're well thought out. They're nice credits.
Anyway, I'm going to really quickly talk about Top Gun Maverick. fucking brilliant. I expected a really, really, really shit movie. Everyone hates Tom Cruise. I actually don't. I kind of rate the guy as an actor. I know he's a small actor, but he's a good actor. But
It is meant to be fucking fantastic.
it is not just a spiritual successor to the original Top Gun. It is a true successor. It pays really good respect to Val Kilmer and his throat cancer and the fact that he's not going to be around for much longer. He's actually in the film with all of the problems that go with having, laryngectomy. I think he had a complete laryngeal removal, I think. Anyway, so he's in it. Everything that you see in their planes is all shot practical. And
didn't
we knew
the
that
Chinese
going
military,
in.
Freak out about the plane that's in it? Yeah. That's hilarious. That's fucking that's funny as shit.
And you know why they freaked out? Because when I say they did practical, they actually went to Skunk Works, so the kind of the secret division of Northrop Grumman, I think. I don't remember who Skunk Works did it. Yeah, but one of the major manufacturers for the military owns Skunk Works. It's a secret division, or the secret projects division of one of the major air manufacturers. So I'm looking it up now.
Boeing.
Lockheed Martin. It's you dipshit. So they obviously
it's Ansett Australia. That's where they went.
Ansett, yeah. It's definitely not Jetstar. Lockheed Martin. So that's their advanced weapons research division. So they came up with the SR-71 Blackbird. And so Tom Cruise went to Lockheed and the showrunners, because Tom Cruise was a producer and an investor in the movie. Because he came back and said, if we're going to do this, if you're going to ask me to do a sequel, we're doing this properly and we're doing it my way, or we're not doing it at all. And so basically he ran the fucking movie. And if you watch all the behind the scenes footage...
No, not Tom Cruise.
Literally.
He's not pushy and trying to get his way.
Yeah, you say that. Watch the behind the scenes stuff that comes with the movie. I bought the movie, so it comes all the behind... They're not long. The director, the producers, the actors have all essentially said if it wasn't for Tom Cruise's passion for flying, this movie would not have happened. End of story. He organized for all of the actors to be trained up in like basic Cessnas. So he basically taught them all how to fly. Then he got some air show jets and took them all up in air show jets. So they flew those. Then they finally rented the naval planes and had proper Air Force pilots flying, or Navy pilots flying them around. But he paid for all of that. And in fact, his own plane is in the movie, which is an old P-50 something, like the bee's knees Top Gun plane from World War One, is in the movie. So, look, it's a fucking brilliant movie. It's well shot. It's super interesting to watch. It's high.
I definitely do want to watch it.
And it's hammy the way that the first movie's hammy without it being over the top. And I thoroughly enjoyed that part too. Anyway, also, $1 billion worldwide grossed so far and broke the record for the highest digital downloads post-cinema release ever in the US. So it's doing well.
Well, the US do love their military. Which are all about them.
On another Tom Cruise side of things, a few weeks ago they released I think it's going to be on HBO or something like that, a fucking Interview with the Vampire series. They've made it into a TV series. Don't bother. It looks fucking horrendous.
Wasn't that True Blood? Basically just sex and laughs, with vampires.
I think the Interview with the Vampire movie with Tom Cruise portrays the character.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, dude, it's a fucking amazing movie. It's like for the time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it's excellent.
But it's completely ruined for me. And this is a weird. I don't know why this sticks in my brain.
We're miles off topic, but it's all good.
No. It's entirely based on Interview with the Vampire. But it's
Tom Cruise Interview with the Vampire.
I don't know if you remember.
I wasn't complaining.
I don't know if you remember when you had a VHS and they used to have the little it's like so when you go to the Dendy and watch a movie, they have a little cut together little thing of shots of different films. And there's this one scene I remember, it was in the start of every VHS, and it was this is movies at home. This is what you can see. And there was that one shot from Into the Vampire where he's like pulling. Was it Nicole Kidman? No. Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst, yeah.
And he's pulling away, and he's
Kirsten
Dunst, and like she'd been
Deadpool reference,
feeding on the whoever was the person they were feeding on, and I don't know why, but he's always just like, no, that's enough, and she's like, but I want more, and I can't remember the rest of the film, but that scene, because I saw it at the start of so many VHS films,
burned into your brain.
It's burned into my brain, and I don't think I could ever watch the film again because I'll get to that scene and be like, well, time to rewind this and send it back.
And for the same reason, I could never steal a car. For exactly the same reason.
I heard a DJ play that at a club the other night. Just that,
really,
that theme, like that was his entry song. He put that on and then walked on and then started playing, and I was like,
props to that guy.
I'm going home.
Props to that guy.
I'm done.
I wanted to look. We'll really, really quickly talk about Rings of Power. We're going to dab our toe, but should we talk about second beers first? I think we probably should.
Yes, I can talk about second beer
because we've got to go to a break soon. We're at an hour and
we'll finish up. We'll finish up with second beers, or do you want to just quickly touch Rings of Power and finish with second beers? Let's do that.
Dan, have you watched Rings of Power?
No.
Okay.
That's why we're going to quickly touch on it.
Well, even so,
some stage I will.
We're not gonna cover this every episode of the podcast to cover every episode of the show. So that's why we're just going to dab
Pete
our
and I
toe.
were putting it in. It was in the show notes, and then Peyton moved it from major discussion. I moved it back to minor discussion. And I messaged him saying, "No, I want to do like, because it's a 10 episode series. I want to do one at episode 5. Let's do a half, and then we'll do a full review. I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I agree.
First impressions are I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. The production value is definitely, you can see they've spent the money on it.
It's 100% aligned to the movies, to the Peter Jackson movies. The look and feel.
Nope. It is not. It's not 100% aligned to those. Please don't say that.
What does that mean? You have to explain. I mean, in terms of production value. I mean, in terms of look and feel, it's got the same lived-in quality, but it has an.
I'm sorry, no,
an
that
atmosphere
shitty
that
plate armor
aligns
that they were wearing compared to the painstaking handmade chainmail they did. Like, you can't. I'm sorry, that plate mail looked like spray painted cardboard in some of those shots. I was like, that's disgusting.
I'm gonna have to go back to shots,
especially when they were taking it off as they were on the boat to the Undying Lands. I was like, what the fuck is that shit? That looks like bad foam, like cutouts.
I'll have to look for some stills because it didn't scream out to me. What did scream out to me was a couple of, and I really struggled with what I was going to say about this because it was noticeable. We reported the rumors that the production quality around costuming was going to be shit. And so I was keeping a very keen eye on that, even though I made a point of not wanting to. And I noticed a couple of very, very perfect seams on shoulders of cloaks. I'm like, yeah. But then I sat there and really thought about it and went, I don't know anything about medieval sewing. I don't know when they were able to do perfect seams. Maybe that's realistic for that period of time. I don't fucking know.
You could have had an outlier.
And then I went back and watched the original Lord of the Rings Fellowship, and sure as shit, on some of their clothing, they have perfect modern day seams running over the shoulders. So it's good enough for Jackson. It's good enough for me.
Yeah, There's some of the armor choices. I was just like, okay. I don't agree with it. The one thing that I know is gonna bother me going forward, and I'll say this now, is that they're talking about taking season 2 and removing it from New Zealand to shoot it in the UK. To any of our UK listeners, I'm sure you come from a very beautiful country, but you sure as shit have nothing to gain on New Zealand. Like, there is no way we can look at the English countryside, the wilderness, if you will, and compare that to New Zealand. Like, seriously, nah. I will listen here, you colonial fucks. I'll take you all on. Like, there is no way you are comparing with the beauty that is New Zealand and the varied landscapes that is New Zealand.
You're right. They're like, just being able to...
That I know is going to really bug me going forward, because at the moment, some of those sweeping shots are straight out of Jackson's films, and it is beautiful and it is glorious.
You can tell
and
it's all South Island shot. It's
it's just makes me want to go
South
back
Coast.
so bad. Like there is an actual like burning yearning for me to go back there just to go wander those parts. But it's just like, and it's really going to annoy me if they confirm it. And I was actually thinking, like, I've got a plan of how to stop this. So I don't know if you saw this. I've got a plan.
Are you going to run a blockade?
No. I'm not going to trade Federation this bullshit. I'm going to So I don't know if you saw that link that came out a couple of days before it was released. That like a couple of people, like very popular like news websites and like our kind of culture websites were reporting that Bezos' son. So this is the equivalent for those who are steeped now in Lord of the Rings lore of Sauron complaining to Morgoth, and he said, "Don't fuck it up, Dad," when they would like announce that they were gonna like start filming Rings of Power. And it's like, what I'm gonna do is subtly over Twitter, because I've rediscovered Twitter and it's full of shit. But I think I can reach Bezos' son and I can be like, hey mate, look. What's another $1 billion? It's a drop in the pond, mate. It's a drop in the pond. Just make sure they keep it in New Zealand. You know what? There's a really great studio down there called Weta. You should probably reach out to them. They can probably make some like non-foam looking armor for you. Like
I'm looking at
those production qualities
stills.
for season 2.
I'm looking
also,
at production stills.
If you need to fact check, there's this great guy. I'll get you. His name's Peter. Last name Jackson. Maybe hit him up. He can look over the scripts for you because you denied him the first time. Anyway, if you don't want your dad to fuck it up, maybe do that.
I'm looking at production stills, Tom, and
I'll fight him.
I need you to send me like some stills of the army you're talking about, because whilst I can see that it could be interpreted as foam or metal, it's close enough to metal that any other movie it'd be passable for as well. So
except for the Lord of the Rings where they made actual chainmail.
Yeah, and I think you're looking for reasons to hate it.
I'm not. I went in and I said, I was like, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm also more about the story. I think Elrond's great. I think Galadriel's played perfectly.
Are we getting another Maya? Or however you pronounce it.
Maya,
thank you. Another Godspawn.
Gil-galad looks perfect as well.
Yes.
The High King. Yeah.
Yes.
I can't wait to see his fucking spear. Oh, I hope he swings that shit so good.
And we've got fucking dwarven wives with complete with moustaches, which we have seen before. We've got new hobbits.
Durin's perfect.
Yeah.
He's a classic 100% dwarf. And like that's the thing, the dwarven architecture, seeing Khazad-dûm in its glory, beautiful. Like brought me to tears, absolute tears. But yeah, there's just a few little things. And we may yet
see some Cimmerils in this series because they're around.
Arkenstone or Cimmeril?
No,
or is the Arkenstone a Silmaril?
Arkenstone is not a Cimmeril. We've covered that. That's been very much debated and very much disproved.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't glow with its own light. It doesn't cast its own light. It reflects the light around it.
Well, that is the important thing that Amazon have been told they cannot do anything or like contradict anything.
It has to be consistent.
Written. Yeah, they cannot contradict anything.
So the 3 Cimmerils are never to be discovered until the end of the end days. So and we're not at the Book of Revelations in the Second Age, in the Third Age. So the Arkenstone cannot be a Cimmeril. That was flat out in the Cimmerillion. That the 3 Cimmerils will not be rediscovered until the end of days.
No.
I read something too.
Oh, well done. I'm very proud of you for cognitively reading something. Yeah, I can't wait for this Balrog to fuck up Khazad-dûm, though.
I know, right? And I really want to know.
It's going to go fucking hell. It's going to be, if it's not like on par, like the Balrog arriving at Khazad-dûm, if it's not on par, and this is purely looking over Dan's shoulder of the Batmobile lighting up in that dark. If I don't have a Balrog rev scene,
okay, here's a challenge for those listening. Jump on our Instagram episode post and leave a comment as to who you think the old guy is in episode 3. My bet is it's a blue wizard. That's my bet.
I know, and you have a good theory about that. I just don't want them to not be both of them. I want them to be the twins.
It might be the twins. We might only be meeting the first one. The second one might be coming. Who knows? But it's definitely a wizard, and it's definitely not Gandalf. Can't be Saruman. So, and Sauron's already roaming around. So
It's not.
but we know it's got to be a Mier or a Mare or Mier or Meow.
Maya.
It's Meow Meow. We found Meow Meow.
Meow meow. Meow meow.
That-
Meow 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 meow.
I've seen the original Thor so many times, and that line still makes me
Meow, meow?
fucking laugh. Yeah, it's some guy walking around with Meow Meow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave us a post on
it's
Instagram. Leave us a reply on Instagram. Tell us who you think the old guy is.
The stranger.
The Strange.
Poppy's found.
Anyway,
The half-foots are cool.
They are.
It's Henny Lenry. Like, that's a really cool thing that he's there. Like, and yeah, I like that they're leaning into that whole thing of that they did in the Jackson movies of hobbits can, they can be seen if they want to, or they disappear, and it's kind of like, what the fuck was that? Like,
Yeah.
that was like a hobbit.
But it was
almost
natural.
power.
We're not talking about magic. They're not
No,
disappearing
no.
magic. We're just
Yeah.
I love the fact that they are culturally different from the hobbits, but you can tell that that's what the hobbits evolved from. This is a people of like this is a halfling people who have to.
They're
almost nomadic.
Migratory. Yeah.
So they're nomads. They survive by evading.
The half-foots, the stores, and what was the other? There's another tribe.
They survive by evading all of the larger races. Essentially, at this point, they haven't settled anywhere. They move from river to river.
But I think in this series they're alluding to that they will settle the Shire.
And I suspect the mayor will.
Fallow hides. That was it. Never mind.
I suspect whoever the old bloke is going to influence their culture pretty heavily, and it may actually be a prelude as to how Gandalf ends up so entrenched in Hobbiton or the Shire. Anyway, we should move on to the beers because we're never going to get there. What are you drinking, Dan?
I'm drinking Old Wives. I Can Has IBU.
I Can Has IBU.
What
It's a reference to I Can Has Cheeseburgers.
That's such a good
So
beer.
this is volume 2, and why I'm got my finger here is it claims to be 107.7 IBUs. I
Ooh.
do not believe that in the absolute slightest.
It's more bitter than me about the Rings of Power armor.
It's fucking 8.7%. It's
What's the
double
style?
IPA. It's double IPA. I would imagine. I haven't read anything on there. There isn't any. Yeah, double IPA.
I've just been drinking it.
I've just been drinking it.
Icon has IBUs.
It doesn't actually say what. It just says the standard.
Oh, is it
And Old Wives Ales. They love a good meme culture.
They
like,
do.
pun,
They
yeah.
do. Yeah, I mean it's fine. It's a double IPA. The high ABV makes it a bit not
How
burny,
you
but it's
going?
definitely got that alcohol character to it. It's probably not as dank or as bitter as what I'd actually hoped it would be. Either that or I have a stupidly high tolerance. It's fine. It's a probably a 3 for me. It's I don't know. That last one was probably a bit of a hard act to follow, and maybe I should have started with it, but it was 100 IBUs, so I didn't want to destroy my palate straight off the bat.
That'll rip right through you, wouldn't it? Yeah.
So actually, if you read the blurb about the beer, there's no way that it is I don't think they were serious about the 108 IBUs. It's a piss take. So their blurb is, do you remember the IBU wars? From the last half of the noughties into the first half of the 10s, breweries like Green Flash, Dogfish Head, Brewdog, and others you've probably never heard of were duking it out to put out the highest IBU beer in the world. It's widely agreed the human palate can't taste the difference once you're over 100 IBU anyway, but that didn't stop 800, 1,000, and even 2,600 IBU beers from being released. Then the haze craze hit, and everyone decided IPA should look and taste like juice. And brewery accountants everywhere breathed a huge sigh of relief. Fast forward to 2020, and we pondered on how to celebrate our 100th brew. We found ourselves asking, Icon has IBU? Just like Happy Cat. Well, sort of like Happy Cat.
Beautifully aligned, too.
Yeah.
I can work out how to set it up to the camera.
I
mean, it's fine.
Don't look at any of my beers.
It's just missing some backbone. It's a bit of alcohol, and it is bitter. Don't get me wrong. It is bitter, but it's definitely not anywhere near the most bitter beer I've ever had. It's fine. It's fine.
Out of 5? It's fine.
That's what I said. I said 3.
Three and
ages
a
ago.
half. Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry. I was reading about cheeseburgers. Sorry.
Never listens
Tom,
to
what are you
me.
drinking? Arcane has cheeseburger. That is what the reference is.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm just thinking about cheeseburgers. It's just like the perfect meal.
Talk about your beer.
I'd rather talk about cheeseburgers. No. I'm drinking
That's a whole different
the Hare.
podcast.
The Hare. This is a Mountain Culture collab. It's an NZ Hazy Pale. It is 5.4 in the percentage range. It is a collab with their mates Black Hearts and Sparrows, which is a beer and wine shop. I think in Melbourne, if I read correctly. They've used a mix of Motueka, Motuer, and Waititi hops. And what you get in the half of my glass is a classic Mountain Culture NZ Hazy. It is not overpoweringly hoppy. It's not like a punch in your face in terms of the aroma. It's quite well balanced. It's definitely there, and you get a lot of that like kind of limey, like kind of zesty, citrusy flavors. It is quite pleasant mouthfeel, and it's just DJ, just look. If you're listening to this,
which is very unlikely. Let's just
very unlikely. It's quite clear now that you're inhuman. Like it's become painfully aware because you get it right every time. He's a really good maker of beer, especially this style. Also, I re-had his Schwartz beer, the Nevermore, the other day. Fucking. Like, I want to hate him, but I can't. He's just too good at what he does. And yeah, so I'm giving this a solid 4.5. It's got a nice, pleasant body. It's got a nice punch of hops in terms of the flavor, but not like overpowering. Everything's quite well balanced. And yeah, some really nice, lime, yes, passion, fruity flavors in there. It's not too earthy for New Zealand hops, but yeah, it's quite good and highly recommend if you can find it. But yeah, that's me. Peter, on to you.
I'm drinking barley wine.
Well, you hate yourself, don't you?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm drinking Mountain Goat's Rare Breed Hightail 25.
Ooh,
which
Hightail.
was a recommendation.
Oh, Hightail Ale.
It's one of the recommendations from...
Be still my beating heart,
yeah.
Hightail Ale. What a beer.
One of the recommendations from the dude at Beer Cartel. I asked for something. I said, look, what I really want is Lolita. Not the 14-year-old seductress, but the Ghost... Is it Goose Island? Complex... Barrel-aged cherry.
Barrel-aged sour, yeah.
It's my favorite of all time aged sours. So complex.
I used to have a box of them in the cellar at the bank. I think I just gave them away.
They're worth a fortune now. They're hard to find.
I gave them away. I'm very generous. It was during lockdown.
This is one of 3 suggestions he gave me was Hightail. So this is a Imperial Red Ale. And like I said, it's more like it's a barrel-aged, it's a bourbon, cognac barrel-aged red ale at 10.2%, which is why I say it's more like a barley wine. It's very raisiny, very syrupy, very sweet. You get a full punch of that raisiny malt backbone.
Did you ever have the pleasure of
treacle.
tasting the original Hightail Ale? Oh,
no.
Yeah, it was one of the original Nitro Reds. Yeah. It was...
This is very... This is very good.
Sweet memories.
Sweet's the right word for it too.
Yeah.
So this is like treacle and like I said before, raisins. Like I'm getting lots and lots of raisins. It's smooth. There is no alcohol burn whatsoever. For a 10%, I'm well impressed. But apart from the toffee sweetness, it's just I can tell I'm going to get trashed if I progress much further. Like it's very strong.
Try down the can.
It is, and mate, I could session the fuck out of this. I wouldn't get far. I wouldn't be able to walk far. But it's thoroughly enjoyable enough that you wouldn't get palate fatigue, which is impressive given the size of it.
We did a 16% barley wine with Eden as one of the collab beers for Collabathon.
Jesus.
And I kid you not, it's midday at small batch. We've just opened. We have a few people who've come in just before because we had the doors open. We're like, yeah, just come sit. We can't serve for 5 minutes, but you come sit. First dude who walks up just goes, yeah, can I get a pint of barley wine, thanks? And I was like, get out. Just get the fuck out. Just leave right now.
We're
I'm gonna
cutting
cut
you off before you've been served.
You're clearly already intoxicated if you're asking for a pint of 16% barley wine. You're a monster.
Oh, and just proof to
No, I didn't serve him. I gave him his little 115 ml and I told him to jog on. I was like, don't be stupid, son.
You've got rules around that anyway, don't you? You can't. I mean, once you get to a
we
certain...
never were going to serve it in a pint. But it's just the fact he was like, I want a pint of barley wine. I was like, well, why don't I just punch you in the face? It'll have the same effect.
But in terms of your RSAs, isn't there a limit once you get to a certain ABV? Isn't there a limit of volume?
No, but generally as a house rule, you will
as
not
wanting drunk
we
fucks vomiting in the bathrooms.
Yeah. Well, we don't serve anything in a pint above 7%.
Yeah,
That's
most
7%,
bars.
Well, why
most
would
bars
you?
are like that.
Why would you?
Yeah. And proof to what you were saying before about Untapped, Tom. I'm just flicking through some of the shit on this rare breed Hightail, and someone's written, "Didn't hit the spot for me at all. Might be good to some, but just not right for me." Fair comment. 1 star. Yeah. Like, you're a fucking knob end. Like, anyway.
I'm going to get in before we go to a break. I'm going to get in a shameless plug because I was given shit for not mentioning on the podcast previously.
Okay.
Forgotten Worlds Brewing Company, a new venture that I am doing with a couple of people.
I gave you shit.
Somebody within Forgotten Worlds gave me shit. We've released our first beer.
So Pete gave them shit.
We're going down the very artistic label wise. There's a whole story behind.
I got my shit from '89.
There's a whole story behind the artwork on the label that is expressed on the website and in the larger poster that comes into
the poster's fucking awesome. Comes
into play later. So go and check out Forgotten Worlds. The first beer is the Cathode Ray. So it tells a story of a Jeff Bezos character that crash lands with all his arcade machines on a forgotten planet, and the symbiotic organisms take over the arcade machines, and the people that are left have to maintain the arcade machines, and then they rebel against the overlords, and this is where the Cathode Ray comes into it. And it's a hazy pale with Azaka, Citra, some Galaxy, and some Vic Secret at 5%. I should know this, 5%. And yeah, you can buy it online at the online shop, ForgottenWorldsBrewing.com. I should know that as well.
Oh dear. Don't worry, Dan. I showed someone the poster the other day, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is my mate's new beer. Like, if you want to try like a nice
the
hazy
poster's
pale,
fucking epic. It's like a
jump
graphic
on this."
novel.
And they go, "What the fuck's a cathode array?" And I was like, "Oh my dear."
Did you show him what a cathode array was? You should have showed him what a cathode array was.
Never mind.
Just hold my hand while we go to the chemist, and we'll go get a catheter. Your name's not Ray, is it? Yeah. So while you're on the topic, Dan, I've got my poster and my pin and my sticker, but I don't have my beer.
Huh?
So, well, I was a Kickstarter early backer. So I should have had a case of beer delivered to my house. I've got all the other kit. I don't have the case of beer.
Why on earth are you mentioning this to me now? I could have said it 2 weeks ago.
I thought the other person that we didn't name was organising all that.
Well, he was.
Anyway, you just reminded me.
We'll
No, they
get
sent
onto
you your case of beer. I just intercepted it at your door and stole it and drank the whole thing.
Anyway, shall we go to a break and we'll talk about Thor, Love and Thunder after we come back?
Hey,
You're
We are doing Thor, Love and Thunder.
Yes,
we hold off on the beer before?
Yeah, I think we should. Let's just talk about Thor, Love and Thunder. Fuck, it was that long ago. I don't know how we missed this on the last episode or two.
No, I think we briefly mentioned it. We did like a touch on it, but we were going to wait.
I thought that was for the trailer, and that was the final trailer.
No, I think we did it after we'd seen it. And then I think it was, because I think I mentioned, because I'd seen it twice in the one weekend. And then we were waiting to see if Dan was going to go see it.
I don't have much to say on it, to be honest. It was fun, but it's starting to get a bit long in the tooth, is my opinion. Like, I was hoping it was going to be more of the Thor Ragnarok comedy, and it was, and yet I regretted wanting it. That's how I feel. I got everything I wanted, and it was too much.
Well, let's talk about this as we actually record. We're going to do it now, and we're back.
We are recording. No, we already said. I already said we're back. We're back. We're recording. We're talking about it right now.
Oh, I was.
We're
not
live on the
paying
air.
attention.
We're on the airwaves.
I was
Tom.
not. I should put my pants back on, or should I?
We're back, Tom. What did you want to say?
Yes, we're going to do a little review of Thor: Love and Thunder. Welcome to the jungle. I.e., Tiger's love letter to Guns N' Roses.
Mike,
Yeah,
really,
look,
my
it
mate.
was. I've had a lot of complaints about that movie. Well, I've got a lot of love for it.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate
No, I
it.
definitely didn't hate it.
But
I can see where the complaints are coming from. It was just, are you doing Ragnarok? Are you doing Guardians of the Galaxy? Which one is it? Just pick one. It's like
I didn't.
a lot
I
of
didn't
people.
get
A lot of people's reviews that I've heard personally from my
What?
mates
Because it
have
was
just-
set in space.
No. Just that it didn't feel like it stayed in its lane, which I didn't. I don't
They
necessarily
have to
agree with.
not. They have
Well,
to.
I didn't necessarily agree with this, and this is where I was going with it. It's like a lot of people like it. Was it a comedy? Was it a drama? Was it an action movie? And I was like, why can't it be all three? And this was a lot of debates I had. Sorry, that's where I was leaving that. A lot of debates
Right, okay.
I had with mates. Why can't it be all three?
It has to be a genre bender, and
Yes.
for MCU Phase 5 to succeed, none of the IPs can stay in their lane. It won't work. In order for there to be another major crossover like the climax at the end of Phase 3,
Yeah.
all of this stuff needs to be able to transition into space and back to Earth seamlessly without there being any this series is only on Earth and this series is only in space. You can't do it anymore. So
Yeah.
I've got no problem
No,
with any of that.
100%. No, I don't think it was about the space, and it was more about
The genre bending.
Yeah, I don't think people.
get it.
I think it's probably more a case that people weren't ready for it.
Right, okay. I had
Not
no
what they
problems.
were
That's
going
not what my complaint was. My complaint was, whilst it was hilarious and the beats were typical, Waititi, it's just, it wasn't serious enough in the right moments for me that it almost took the comedy a little bit too far and came across a little bit blasé.
It did feel like a couple of the, especially gore moments, were lacking.
There was no gravitas. Yeah, that's exactly. I think I agree with that statement. Correct, like perfectly. There was no gravitas.
I don't know if there was
to
no
Gore.
gravitas. I thought Gore was a really good villain, like compelling. Like, and Christian Bale's performance is fantastic.
Fucking brilliant. I thought he was a great bad guy. I just
The
don't think he
worst
was.
thing that I've read about it is there's apparently a scene where he does this like inhuman scream at Thor, and they cut it thinking it was too much. And it's like, that's
That would've
exactly
been
what it needed.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just he doesn't come across as a credible threat, even though he is a credible bad guy. He acts it perfectly. There was never an existentialism
Do you think that's because a
to
lot of
that.
the god killing was off screen?
No, I think it's because Thor was never truly in danger. I never felt like Thor was truly in danger.
No,
And I
get
know that there
I
were
get
those
that.
tense scenes where he had his hands around fucking Natalie Portman's throat, and all the other Thor, chick Thor, whatever her name is,
Mighty Thor.
Yeah, that's what I said. Mighty
You
Thor.
did not. She would have thrown the hammer at you.
Valkyrie was almost dead as well, but I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
never felt like Thor was actually threatened by the God Killer enough. They didn't drag out that moment.
No,
of
he
tension
definitely
long
needed
enough.
an injury or. See, this would have been a great chance for them to, like, gone down the unworthy Thor path.
Yes.
And cut his arm off.
Yeah.
Cut Thor's arm off.
Something just.
Give him that Uru metal arm back. Yeah.
Did I say
Like-
Waikiki before? I think I did.
I think you said Waititi. Yeah.
Okay, I hope I did,
Yeah.
because that would be really bad.
Um,
To me, it was another good movie, but it wasn't a great movie. It was almost Thor Ragnarok Part 2, The Irreverent. And that's
Yeah.
what it was. It was a very irreverent movie. We can't get you can't talk about the movie without talking about those buns. That nude scene from behind Chris Hemsworth. I went and saw it with a female friend, and she is not the sort of person that goes in for that sort of stuff at all. But we're in that moment where Zeus lasered off his fucking clothes. Her jaw was on the fucking ground. She actually grabbed me.
Yours wasn't. Mine was. Fucking get him up here. I want to buff him. Fucking talk
Don't
about
think that
two
was-
little perfect ice cream cones scooped next to each other. Little bongos. Hello, Chris
fucking
Hemsworth. Yeah.
I just fucking hell. That guy is built like Adonis. He really is.
He is literally right now. He is the definition of the upside down triangle. Like, it's
And he's going
entirely
to end
what
up
it
in
looks
the.
like, yeah.
And he's going to. I'm almost certain he's going to end up making the same comment that. Oh God, my brain shut down. Too much fucking alcohol today. Wolverine.
Huge.
Thank you.
Huge Ackman.
Huge Ackman. Yes. Said that it's not a sustainable lifestyle to live off screen. Like you're eating 4,000 calories a day, and it's all chicken breast, rice, and steamed broccoli, and that's it. That's your entire fucking existence. Eating is no longer anything
Pleasurable.
other than but it's not even. It goes past not being pleasurable. It's just I must fuel the muscle, or the muscle dies. It's just
It's when you get a nutrient paste.
yeah. They need Soylent Green. They just need to be sucking on some Soylent Green.
Yeah.
I suspect that he'll get to that point real soon, even though he's making money off his training team now, with his center app.
Look, in terms of the expansion of the Marvel Pantheon, I think they did a wonderful job. I particularly enjoyed seeing some of the gods they had there. They had the Black Panther bust god you saw sitting in front of them. Obviously, it's been out for a while. Spoilers. Zeus getting fucking KO'd, and then at the end you see Hercules played by Ted Lasso's.
Yeah,
That was really cool.
yeah, it was. I
Roy
had
Kent. Roy Kent. Yeah.
I had to look up the actor because I knew him. I just couldn't pick from where, and it's because his outfit was so vastly different, and his character was so vastly different. But I'm looking forward to Hercules.
Yeah, I mean Hercules and Thor have clashed many a time, so that was kind of fun. It was good to see like the idea of like a city of gods, a little dumpling god. I thought was pretty funny.
That whole sequence was actually the highlight of the film for me.
Yeah, and there's been like, and they talk about how they've cut a bit and they've added a bit more here and there. I've got to hand it to Taika, and I will hand it to him. The whole idea that you'll introduce two characters to your movie who are non-verbal screaming goats, based entirely off a funny video you saw of Taylor Swift and someone subbed in screaming goats. That's the shit that I would do as a director. I would be like, that brought me immense joy. And when Emma and I first went to watch it, tears of laughter at those goats.
I was exactly the same.
I went to see it the same weekend with my sister.
He hit
And
all the perfect beats. For
still
those guys.
tears of joy at those screaming goats because they are so perfect. And it's just like Thor's often far too serious and Shakespearean and melodramatic. If you look at Dark World,
but he hasn't been since Dark World, and that I think is my complaint.
Yeah, but I mean
was
that's what,
balanced.
Yeah, it was. No, and this is leading to a good place to then go like, people have been waiting to see Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder. Let's bring them in, and then they're here and they're just like fucking screaming motherfuckers. Like, I just thought it was a very good like. It was a very Taika way of flipping the expectation on its head.
Yeah.
And from a director's standpoint, I think it's very clever and it's a very good way of being like, you know what, you guys can scream on the internet all you want about what you want to see in a Thor film, and you know this, that, and the other.
Here's a
but at
couple
the
of
end,
goats.
I'm going to make whatever I want. And you fuckers have still paid to see it, so eat a fat bag of dicks. Enjoy every single last one.
They were a highlight. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I think that's all I want to say on Love and Thunder. It was it was a good movie. It wasn't
Also,
a great
Chris
movie.
Hemsworth's daughter was really convincing as love. Like,
She was.
yeah.
I just it was an MCU movie. It was decent. It was better than average, but it wasn't a great standout MCU film by any
It was very
stretch.
fun. I very much enjoyed it.
I preferred Ragnarok.
Yeah, but you'll never. I think it's always going to be a really hard job
To follow.
Yeah, it was a really hard job as a solo character film to top Ragnarok. And people say the same thing about Winter Soldier and then Civil War, and that's why they had to do a what do you call it when they all get together?
Crossover.
Nah, yeah, kind of. That's not the word I was looking for. Let's say just team up, crossover, yeah. But like for that, like Civil War, like it's an enjoyable film, but it's only as enjoyable as it is compared to like Winter Soldier because of all the other characters that fall into it. There is still
the contrast.
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like you wouldn't get as much out of it that you did from Winter Soldier between like the Bucky, Black Panther, Cap like scenes.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so it is a particularly hard act to follow, and it's just like
We're probably in a bit of a lull in Phase 4 as well. We're at the anticlimax of Phase 4.
well, Phase 4 is always they've come out now and they've officially said that it is a reaction to Endgame. It is
Yes.
a lot of the films are about loss, about
A lot
trying
of
to
the
find
TV
your feet
series
again.
mainly are
Yeah,
about loss.
100%. So like in that sense, I think they did a really good job.
I just found that he didn't get those comedy beats that he got in Ragnarok with the eye and the interaction with the galaxy Guardians of the Galaxy character didn't really come off as deeply as they did in past movies.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that.
I
thought
wasn't
the Guardians
disappointed. I just it didn't push the boundary the way that I hoped it did. There were some really good elements.
Yeah.
It was a really good movie, but it didn't really progress for me. The whole
No.
ethos. Anyway,
Yeah. But I think it definitely took on that whole like trying to find the feet after Endgame. Like I think it really capitalized on it a bit more than the other films have. Like maybe not No Way Home because that was really about restarting and stuff, but
that was personal loss.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, but this one was more about just like a kind of it's that general sense of fuck, I don't know what I'm doing now. Like we've all been there. Like we've
Yeah.
all had that kind of like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'll just be me and fucking
See what
do
happens.
that. Yeah.
See what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
All right.
Sucks to be everyone else. Deal with it, bitches.
All right. I think we should go.
The Splits scene though, the Splits ripoff of Jean-Claude Van Damme was particularly.
Yes, I got that reference too. Yes.
Yeah, that was
that's for us kids who grew up in that era. Should we go find a Dan?
We can try and find a Dan. I don't know if we will.
He's probably at
No, he
Alright.
said he's good to go. Summon him. The Dan. Clap on.
you are.
Imagine if he'd logged in just then
I
as
know.
I clapped. That would
It
have
would have been like
brilliant.
we're still recording, so
Do we need to say his name 3 times into a mirror? Brewer Dan. Brewer Dan. Brewer Dan. He's behind
I'm
me,
gonna I'm gonna cut it so that he appears just at that moment, right?
100%.
We have to act surprised when he gets on.
Just scream. Just go. Just hold the cue up the tail. The goat scream.
Gotta be careful because my window's open.
Apparently, I scared Jasper before when we were like, oh, God, there
fuck,
he is.
it
Jesus
worked.
Christ.
It worked.
It's the ghost that walks. Ghost that walks.
The summons worked.
What
were you gonna
is my
say?
microphone on? Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
the
it's
fucking
on.
Phantom has been on TV so many times in the last 2 months, it's not funny.
Yeah, the Phantom. Yeah. Billy Zane, bitches.
So what was the general consensus on Thor?
Eh,
Meh?
Who
Okay.
can
It was-
say where the wind blows?
it was
Only time knows. Only time.
so Tom and I have a similar but different opinion. From my perspective, it was an extension of Thor Ragnarok without pushing further on the envelope. So it was funny, but it was funny in the same way, and it felt a little bit tired as a result.
Which I think plays into the whole Phase 4 theme of loss and not knowing where you are and reacting to Endgame, which I think is maybe not what they were going for.
It's
Let's
very
not give
meta,
them too
if you're
much
right,
credit.
Tom.
Like, it is a bit meta. Like, that is, yep, I am Zuckerberg. Meta.
Okay.
I'm not sure anyone ever wants to say that. I am Zuckerberg. That's not a person you want to be associated with these days.
I love
Yeah.
dodgy 3D graphics that I spent billions on. What are you talking about?
So what are we
that's
doing?
The wrong end
Trailers
of
now?
identity politics.
Well, we're going to
let's
jump
talk
into
about
our
Beer 3.
beer.
Yeah. I will go first because fuck y'all. How's that?
Do it.
I managed to cut the wax off this beer without cutting
Skin off
myself
your fingers.
or off anything. And I didn't even need a lighter. Didn't need to heat anything up. I just actually found it quite easy. I've got a very, very heavy metal can opener, or beer opener rather, bottle opener. And so really it just needs a quick knife around it. So this is Big Holiday.
Ooh, New England Brewing. Ooh,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Big
boy.
Holiday barrel-aged black Saison. Now that's...
Yes.
Probably won't focus well on my face because it's got
Barrel-aged
face
black
focus
Saison.
detection. Yeah. This is so. I asked the beer cartel dude. That's his name now. For
BCD.
something-
Let's call him BCD for sure.
BCD. Yeah. So shout out to BCD. I asked him for something like Lolita, and this was one of the two beers that he suggested. The third one, the other one being a 750ml corked Quebec sour, barrel-aged sour that we will pop at some point, but definitely not this episode with all the other 10%ers. So this is a plum-based Saison that looks like... It just says plum whiskey oak. So I'm presuming it's got a plum base and it's been barrel-aged in oak barrels that were previously holding whiskey.
Now, maybe they're making a very obscure Simpsons reference. I would like a cocktail that's a single plum floating in perfume served in a man's hat.
It is 9.8 fuck me in the ass %. It's a 330ml bottle. We're happy small towners brewing and bottling traditional and experimental beers at our brewery in the rolling hills of New England, New South Wales. Big Holiday is back
Beautiful country.
this year, and it's thanks to 6 months in Tasmanian whiskey barrels. I was right. The beer pours a ruby black with a fluffy head, an aroma of plum, cherry, and whiskey take you to a body of plum, liqueur, and black forest cake before a dry, spicy oak finish. Happy holes from the team. Gotta say, I don't know if it's just because I'm coming off the back of a fucking 10% plus barley wine-esque,
Because it's such a small
Double
down
red.
step from 10% to 9.5.
I know, but the actual
all in that
beer
0.6,
flavor
baby.
profile,
Oh, yeah.
it is very plum. It's getting more bitter as it opens up and warms up, but it's thin compared to the barley wine. Just in terms of mouthfeel, in terms of backbone.
One of the reasons why I hate barley wines is just the
It's not a
the
barley
sheer
wine.
volume of fucking sugar in them. It's just
Look, I was kidding when I
doesn't
said
do
it
it
was a
for
barley
me.
wine. It's not a barley wine. It's an imperial red.
Yeah, I was about to
It's
say,
just-
stop calling it a barley wine.
I was taking the piss when I
Stop
said
it.
that. It's just because it's so big. Okay, Tom. Okay. You don't get a lot of the saison.
I'll give you a barley wine.
You don't get a lot of the saison kind of farmhouse esters that you would expect, but that's probably because it is so big and it's barrel aged. There's a lot more complexity there and layers and all the rest of it. You definitely get plum. I get
Probably from the. Would you say it's probably also from using the darker malts there, Dan?
definitely
Sorry,
get that
just
black
clear
malt
with-
bite.
I thought you were going to say something prophetic then, but I was let down. Jeez.
you were.
Hmm.
What would be from the black malts? Sorry.
Would that?
Why I'm not getting the esters.
Yeah. Those traditional saison characteristics.
I wouldn't think so. It might overdo it a little bit, but it used in small amounts. The yeast characteristic should still come out well and truly above the black malt character.
Actually, you know what it probably is? The fucking whiskey barrels that were sitting in. And just giving it is you definitely get that sharp whiskey note all the way through. I'm enjoying this because of the complexity, not so much. It's not what I expected it to be. I was looking for a complex barrel-aged sour. Obviously, I didn't get one and I knew that going in because it was a Saison. And it was a black Saison at that. But I'm enjoying the complexity of the beer. I'll probably enjoy the beer coat that it's going to give me at 9.8% after a 10-point-something
I did notice you took your jumper off.
Yeah, I was starting
Feeling
to
a bit
sweat.
warm under the collar on there.
I fucking am. I do have a fucking hot light on me and the window's closed, but yes. No, it's good. It's all balanced well. It's quite bitter. I'd be interested to see what the IBU is. It's not listed on the can. 30 IBU, so it's actually not bitter at all. It's just, it must be the alcohol bitterness.
It's probably some woody, oaky thing from the barrel too that's not actually accountable as a
Definitely.
bitterness. Yeah.
Definitely. And also the sharpness from the whiskey. You are I'm definitely pulling strong whiskey notes all the way through. Yeah. Lots of plum notes, almost Ribena. But not in a bad way, in a
Plum Ribena? Is that the flavour of Ribena?
Blackcurrant.
Thank you, Tom, for calling me out. But I'm just saying that it's but those dark raisiny those dark characters, those dark stone fruit characters. Anyway.
Right.
I'm gonna give it a 4. Oh god, and it's gonna hurt as it warms up.
Jeez, we've still got 2 topics to get through. You gonna make it?
I know. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe
pass
not.
out.
Fuck, we've got 3 topics. We're just gonna do trailers and Are You Winning, Son? Is that what we're doing?
We can talk about HUDs.
Nah,
I can give you a nice big warm HUD.
Ooh. Hello.
I'm yeah.
I've got Ocean Reach Brewing Gippie Chocolate Fudge Stout. Gippie Chocolate Fudge Stout.
Sure, we've tried that. But it doesn't matter. Carry on.
Well, we're trying it again. We're giving it the old college try.
I don't get chocolate fudge out of it. I might get like chocolate chip cookie out of it, but it's definitely not as sweet. Like it says, the writing on the back of this can is so fucking small. It's not funny. It does say something.
You need your opera goggles just to see it.
Yeah, yeah. Need to get some. Anyway. It does say plenty of sweetness and complexity balanced here. I like it as a stout. I like it. I think it's a nice chocolatey stout. There's very little sweetness there for me. It's just not. It's got some nice burnt roasty characters to it, and it's got some nice chocolatey chip biscuity notes to it. But I would definitely in no way, shape, or form call it fudge. No, not at all. It's not. It's not sweet. It's not. It's not over the top. It's quite boozy. It's like 7.9%. It's still a very nice stout. Like I'm really enjoying it, and I'll finish the whole big ass fucking 500ml can that it came in. But it's definitely not chocolate fudge. But it's nice.
Maybe they do fudge differently down there on Phillip Island.
Maybe they do. Those Victorians off the bottom of the fudge.
And it's got to kind of leave the mainland to get there. So you don't have that fudge, yeah.
Drive over a bridge to get there.
A lot of things can happen on that bridge. Trolls. Just trolls.
Tastefully ignoring what I said. It's great. I love it.
We are, yes. Definitely ignoring your comment there, Peter.
I want to know if it was Dan that tried this the last time, because the commentary that you just gave is almost word for word what I wrote down last time.
What do you mean?
So we reviewed this beer, season 5, episode 7. So
someone reviewed this. Someone reviewed
I want to know who
repeater.
it was.
This is another good Super Troopers reference.
Yeah, we'll do the repeater. Yes. Everybody missed the Super Trooper reference from before, though. That was pre-hitting record button. Are you looking it up, Pete?
I'm looking it up,
Pete.
It was actually me. It was me that I tried it.
I tried it.
I tried it.
Oh, the repeater. Such a good game. Such a good game.
Such a good game.
But hey, that's good, Pete. You were talking about,
Fucking
your
children on this podcast.
Let's bring it back.
So
but we were
Dan,
talking about how you post chimney, Pete, the old sweeper, chimney. If you're having the exact same flavor notes as Dan is getting now, like
maybe my palate wasn't that shot. I'll tell you what I wrote. I said maybe a bad sample, certainly tastes of black malt backbone, but basically no detectable chocolate or residual sugar, and easily the thinnest mouthfeel in a stout I've ever tried.
There's definitely chocolate there in what I have, but and it is quite thin. But yeah, the residual sugar side of it, yeah, I completely agree with you on that. It's
which you'd expect in a chocolate fudge stout.
You would definitely expect it, and it calls out sweetness.
You want it syrupy, like you want it thick.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's a nice stout.
Yeah.
Not complaining at all, but and it hides the booze world as well. It's just it's not
a session stout.
Yeah, it's just not what it calls it out on the can. So I'll shut the fuck up now because we are playing the repeater. I'd probably give it a 3.75 just because it's good, but doesn't
I smashed
fully play
it.
out.
I gave it a 2.5.
Oh really? Yeah, no, it's definitely not a 2.5. It's
for a smoke. I'm a C-bomb.
It's a shiny bronze beer. It's a shiny bronze dirty silver beer.
Okay.
You know what they say, dirty silver for monsters.
Well, that's how we talk about it when we judge. If something gets a low in a metal, we call it a dirty. If it gets a high, it gets a shiny.
Yeah.
So it's a high. It's a shiny bronze dirty silver.
All right, you fucking magpies.
Or bowerbirds.
Yeah. I'm doing a throwback, but a throwback to a different episode and some of Peter's episode art. So if you remember when we reviewed Jindabyne Brewing, that I went onto their website and got very excited, and Peter drew that nightmare-inducing imagery of me, which is mainly based on my face, not on Peter's artwork. Don't get me wrong. Look what I found, motherfuckers.
Nice.
Shimmy, shimmy, shake. I got the Red X, which was the beer that made me pull that face, which since children have fallen into sleepless, nightmare-induced comas that they've never awakened from after seeing that imagery. I just walk around local hospitals and I just painted onto walls so that, when they're trying to,
Well, in my defense, the screenshot that I used to base the artwork on...
That's what I'm saying.
Your face was glowing from the laptop screen because you were ordering beer.
It was hideous. Especially when I was wearing my Chewy robes. I look like an it demon. I am Pennywise. We all float down here. Anyway,
that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Thank you. First time I watched it, I was very drunk in Melbourne, and I pissed myself laughing. I thought it was hilarious.
It's got some pretty cringy vibes throughout.
Great film, though. Great film.
Yeah.
This has thrown me for a loop. So this is pouring. It pours like a beautiful red ale. Look at that. In my lovely Treehouse Brewing. Oh yeah, I've been. Whatever. Okay. Yeah, I'm beer royalty. But it pours like a beautiful red ale. Look at that. It's a deep amber color. It's not like chunky. It's got a little bit of see-through. It's only 5.4%. But they call it a New World Dark Lager on the back. Like, see? Like, that's not... That's a
red.
That's a pure red. Like,
yeah. So what they've said in their longer blurb is, our red is a little bit of everything, just like the weather in the mountains. It's a little bit malty from full-flavored specialty malts and a little bit IPA from multiple doses of mosaic hops. It's a little bit stronger, but still clean and dry, making it a bit more.
So I wonder if they've used...
That's basically just describing a red, though.
But have they used lager yeast? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe this is a new hybrid. Maybe I've discovered a new species.
I think you're right.
Sir David Emperor.
I think one of the comments in Untapped is certainly get the lager yeast flavor.
Oh, I don't
So
think
I think you fucking
I really want to taste it now. I really want to know.
yeah, but for you to make that comment and for that to be one of the comments
Yeah.
straight up on Untapped, then it's quite likely they did.
you could. It does have that kind of. It's that malt sweetness finish that you usually get from like a nice, especially an Australian lager. It's definitely not that pure caramel you get from a straight red. The mosaic is there. There is a nice hop character to it.
What's the IBU on it? Because a red tends to be very fucking bitter in my experience. That's just my experience. That's why I don't
think
like
it
reds.
has it on the can.
Dan, is that right? Is that part of the description of a red? It's quite a bitterish.
Well, it depends on
Tends
if you're
towards
going
bitterness?
like red IPAs or red ales. I would say a red
I was thinking
IPA.
more red ale.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was too high. I would
Okay.
Well, you usually
it-
get more of that caramel malty, like rich caramel. That is not rich caramel. That is like it's like someone's thought about caramel in next to the tank, and it's kind of
They
like,
waved the caramel. Yeah.
it's not like a hit of rich like from your normal red. Like
Sounds
you
like
get
my
a massive hit.
martinis just waved the vermouth over the top.
I mean, it's how I described a seltzer to someone the other day. It's like just think bubbly water, and then someone's yelled or fruited it from 3 rooms across.
no, see, Irish red ales are only 18 to 28 IBUs. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's a
No,
great
there's
description,
definitely that red
Tom.
characteristic.
You just described that whole. It's not aromatherapy. What's the other therapy? The alternate medicine. This has elements of gold drops in it. Basically, the equivalent of throwing a lump of gold in the ocean and then someone on the other side of the planet scooping up some water and selling it to you as gold water. And when they did the math on one of those proper science channels, it's actually more like we'd need 11 planets worth of oceans as an equivalent. Carry on.
Yeah. So I'm getting like there is elements of those like pure red characters there, but it does finish like a lager. So maybe they've created a new subspecies, and I love them more for it. I say let's make the super race. Let's make red lagers.
Let's make the super race. You heard it here first. You do not want to be saying that on a podcast, Tom. Let's create the super race because it's one step away from the master race.
I didn't say that. I'm not talking about black IPAs. I'm talking about red ales.
But that's the thing. If someone wants to call it that, they should roll that dice and call it a fucking red lager.
Yeah. Like it is almost the best of both worlds. Like, and at 5.4%, oh, you'd send that home for days. Especially in real, like, I'm not talking like a super cold winter's day, but like kind of like early spring, like that is a really good beer to just, especially if there's like still a bit of like that bite, that chill in the air. Put a few of those away, and you'll be proud of yourself. Someone's breaking into Dan's house right now. Either that or the poltergeist has finally woken up. Anyway, I'm going to give that a 4.5.
Cool.
And Dan doesn't.
You're
care.
good, Dan? Do you need a 2-second break?
No, it must be some weird fucking plane going over or something. It sounded really weird.
Okay.
I had a Black Hawk go the other night. It was really cool.
Yeah, so our office in Brisbane gets the military Black Hawks fly past their building all the fucking time, and I just happened to be in Brisbane while one happened, and I jizzed. And the rest of the guys are like, yeah, that's just the Black Hawks. It's like, they're here every day. I'm like, did you fucking see? It's a camo chopper. It's a camo chopper. There. It's just a Black Hawk. Fuck you.
Just the Black Hawk.
You guys suck. Anyway, cool. Let's get in.
Fuck up. They're loud. Jesus.
They are loud. Helicopters are surprisingly loud when they're nearby. You don't really get that from the movies until you can feel the air shift from the rotors. Yeah, I was living across the road from Macquarie Centre when they were rebuilding someone's kitchen, of all things, in Macquarie Centre, and so they had to literally airlift kitchen equipment in, and so you had one of those transport choppers, and those are big, heavy-duty choppers. Dropping this heavy equipment. It was basically an air crane. And I'm living 1.5 kilometers, maybe 2 kilometers away, And I stood on my veranda, and you could actually feel the pressure changes in the air around you from the fucking rotors. Crazy. Anyway, we should get into some trash of trailers.
Let's
I always feel slightly guilty calling. Yeah, I always feel slightly guilty calling it trailer trash when I write the notes, because it does seem a little insulting to the trailers, but it just works. Last of Us.
Well, we didn't get much, did we?
I'm watching it right now, and it'll only take a couple more seconds. I'll be done. But
yeah,
I love
it's just
Pedro
a few little
Pascal.
flashes in that little HBO thing, but it looks pretty damn fucking close.
I love Bella Ramsey. I love that she was in Game of Thrones playing a character that was fighting against a Ramsey. It's just perfect. I'll never forget her name.
And she does, what looks like a pretty good Ellie. And then
She looks young for it.
Yeah, but Ellie's meant to be young in that game.
I know, but she looks really young. She just has a young face. The actress herself isn't actually that young. She looks way younger than she actually is. The actress is probably a little bit too old for the video game character, but she looks way younger.
Yeah. Well, Ellie's meant to be what, 12, 13, 14, something like that. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure Bella is going to be more like 16, 17. Just looking it up now.
But yeah. And then Pedro Pascal as Joel.
Can't fault the guy. I mean, he's perfectly cast for that role, in my opinion.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit. He needs a little bit more silver through him. He wasn't not silver, just a little bit more grizzled. Bella
Look, as
Ramsey.
someone who struggles to grow a full beard, and that is one of my 3 downfalls that I'm aware of. Yeah, I think
She's 19.
But in every other way, I'm practically perfect. I'm the spoonful of sugar that Mary Poppins provides.
Jammed up her clit. Anyway, carry on.
I don't know whatever edition of Mary Poppins you were watching, but send me a copy.
Wow.
Pedro just, he grows a scraggly beard like myself.
He does grow a scraggly beard.
Joel needs a full fucking beard. That's my only thing against it.
He needs to look like a tracker, like a better groomed version of Daryl from Walking Dead.
Yeah, see, Norman Reedus can't grow a fucking beard to save his life.
No,
either.
he just needs that.
No, but he had that scraggly look about him without...
Peter, this is probably the best compliment I give you, but he needs your beard.
It does. It's a
That's
slightly
it, though.
lighter shade of brown.
When Pedro pulled off the helmet in the Mando and I saw his scraggly beard and I looked at him, I was like, hey, same guy.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
Yeah, that was the
Bella
only thing.
Ramsey's fucking 19. She
makes
looks
sense.
a lot younger than she is.
But Ellie's only meant to be 14, 14, 15 in that.
Yeah. It was a 2-second teaser. And it wasn't even a full Last of Us trailer. It was buried in a HBO Max trailer.
But it was our first kind of video glimpse.
First look, yeah. But when I first opened it up on YouTube, because it's listed as the Last of Us teaser trailer from the channel that I randomly picked, and there's dragons in the first sequence. I'm like, what the fuck? It's because it's a HBO Max teaser. Anyway.
But so it's coming, and I'm very excited for it. Yeah.
When
Such a good
is
story?
I'm going to buy it for PlayStation 5. It's just been released, I think, yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
No, it's been out for like a week.
No.
Has it?
Yeah,
No.
people have already platted it.
I am certain it's
been out for like a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I give up. I'm going to buy it for PlayStation 5, and I'm ashamed to say it is actually the 3rd time I'm buying this game. I will platinum it this fucking time. Because I bought it for PlayStation 3, then I bought the remastered for PS4, and didn't finish it. Now I'm going to... In fact, it's probably still
Well, I remember the
sealed
PlayStation
somewhere.
3 version because you had to do the online multiplayer. I think they've taken it out.
I
Also, you don't
lent
have to-
one of
you don't
my
have to do-
copies to somebody and never got it back. So
You don't have to do
what does
grounded
it mean?
mode for the plat this time either, which is why people have done it in like 3 or 4 days.
Oh, maybe it was me, Pete. Maybe I do have your copy.
it was you or
Thief.
Chris. It was you or
Thief.
Chris. Oh, Dan, Chris, and I have
I've got the same with a
had
bunch of
each
mates. They're my
other's shit
brothers, yeah.
for like a decade at a time. You go, oh, Dan, I've still got your your Darth Vader comics, and then like here they are, and it's like, oh fuck, I forgot I lent them to you.
Yeah,
I'm sure somebody's.
Maybe I do have your copy of PS4 Last of Us.
Do you have any more of my Darkest Night collection? Graphic
Oh,
novels?
now's the time for this. This is a good time for this. It's the time for this. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on. You've got lots of Gamescom trailers to talk
Yeah,
about.
Gamescom was like the couple of days after we recorded last.
You talk, I'm gonna go watch them.
Okay. Well, Dan, do you want to talk about Alone in the Dark?
Well, I think it was the same trailer that I don't think they released a new one at Gamescom, did they? Though I talked about Alone in the Dark previously. I'm
Last
pretty sure it
episode,
was just
in
the
fact.
same one.
It might have been the same one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Yep, I'm still excited for it. Looking forward to it.
Well, let's talk about Evil West because we were both excited for that.
Yeah, I still like it. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah.
Just looks like a fucking crazy third person, like just linear, mining, small little.
It's OG
confined
God of
open-
War in
Yeah.
a supernatural Western world.
Yeah, 100%. I'm absolutely down
Just
for
with
it.
more
Those-
range
That's exactly
combat.
what I need right
Yeah.
now.
the boss fights and the over the top costume of the lead guy with all the fucking weapons and the huge trench coat. Yeah, 100%.
Oh,
It looks
like he's
and
got
the, and the
very
bullets on the
down for it.
fucking the bullet fucking a bandolier on his across his back and the red fucking streamer from his hat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm not saying much, but it looks like he's kind of got oversized boots. So we're leading more into that early 2000s Darksiders, that art style. Yeah,
100% the vibe I
Bring
got
it back.
from it was
Bring it back,
definitely
I say.
War from Darksiders. Yeah.
You know what it looks like? It looks like they put zombies into an Arcadia version of Red Dead 1.
yeah, kind of. Yeah,
It just
which they did in Red Dead 2. You had that
injected a little bit of heavy metal into the whole thing.
Yeah.
And just overdid the boots and overdid the weaponry and the
There's a
the outfits.
gravity. There's a gravity to his guns too.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that one. I'm very excited for Plague Tale Requiem. You guys haven't played Plague Tale, have you?
No, but
I got to think about rats, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't play this game then.
No.
I did
look at
watch
it
a lot of
and-
footage after you reviewed Plague Tale in depth.
Yeah, it's not all like the first one, the rats are only in it like in the last couple of chapters, but then they're really in it. Like it's when you can summon hordes of rats, you're like, oh wow, I am
I just don't think
for
I'm interested, to be honest. Like
it was a nice for me. It was a really nice break in the
Palate
games I was
breaker.
playing at the time.
palate
Yeah.
cleanser.
But also then the story gripped me. It was a really good, well written story.
I'm presuming
And-
the rat reference is really about the plague, right? Like that's where it started. Obviously, they've gone and taken it to a whole new different level.
Yeah. It starts with your standard like, oh yeah, this is the plague, and then it goes like very
Well, at the time, they
supernatural.
didn't know. They at the time of the first plague,
No.
they didn't know rats were the carriers of the fleas that were causing the actual plague.
So this, yes, it's been out for a while. I can spoil it. It comes to the point where you, as the brother, can
Summon the rats.
psionically control
Yeah,
where the
you
rats.
said that before.
Yeah.
That's
so
not
it's
a
like
spoiler.
it gets right into like that kind of supernatural element of like, and there's whole like religious element to it. There's crazy medieval priests and stuff, and it's
Sounds
like,
so much like Thief to me, the original Thief,
definitely leaning into that aesthetic.
because that was
but-
psychological. Yet it was still medieval, high fantasy, but not quite.
This is a little more. It's like except
of
for the
religion.
controlling of rats, this is very medieval grounded. Like when you control the sister, all you can use are your slingshot and like medieval poultices and potions of the time kind of thing to heal yourself.
Yeah.
It's a lot more about the stealth, which I obviously do not go into because I Leroy Jenkins the shit out of everything. But yeah, no, like I think the thing that's directing me more to go back to this sequel is essentially they're saying double the rats. I'm like, double the rats. It's just controlling a black cloud of like screaming, swirling, bubonic death.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Get around it, Dan.
No.
Put it with your 3D headphones on your PlayStation. Then
Don't do rats. Oh.
All right, Dead Island 2. looks like an extension of Dead Island 1, which is
Well,
an
it's a sequel.
extension of all of the other fucking...
Well, then this is the game that came back from the dead.
It did.
This was
Very
shown
much
like
so.
yeah, and that's not a bad pun. Like literally, like what 5-6 years ago they first showed the trailer for it, and then it died in the ass. And then
But we played Dead Island 1 on Dan. I
Yeah.
think it was
Yeah.
Dan, Chris...
Yeah, it was
who
three
else?
of us. I'm
Sui?
sure.
I think Sui jumped in
Sui.
at one stage for a
Yeah.
while. Not 100% sure, but it was up to 4-player co-op. And it was fun, but it was buggy as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's our problem. That's why we stopped playing it, because it was too buggy. And a little bit, the mechanics were a little bit cyclic. So you knew that if you went to this place, this zombie's going to keep respawning. No matter how many times you kill him, he's going to keep respawning. So you just end up avoiding fucking areas. So it was flawed, but it was good.
yeah.
And then the... Sorry, Tom? What
No,
were
you
saying?
go.
Well, the guys that made Dead Island then went on to do Daylight? No, Days...
Dying
By
Light.
Daylight?
No,
Dying Light.
Dead. It might have been Dying Light, but they've made several other games since.
Dying Light's the like parkour zombie one,
Yes.
and they
Is
just
it the
released
same
a sequel.
team? You sure it's the same team?
I'm certain that the guys that made Dead Island went on to make several other AAA titles that we've played. I just don't remember the name because there's been
Deep Silver. Yeah, Deep Silver. They did.
Deep Silver's
They've-
done quite a bit. Yeah.
They've been involved in heaps. They're
I don't
involved
think they
in-
did Dying Light though.
It's the same
Homefront,
game
the
system.
Revolution.
Google, quick.
I'm in there.
Google, quick.
Red
the-
Faction.
It's the same
um,
game system that they use for Dead Island. They use for a number of other games, and they built on it.
Metro Exodus.
Yeah. It was a good
I'm
game.
just gonna Time Splitters.
Just gonna keep throwing shit out.
Yeah,
As
I
he
know.
finds it.
I
Just random shit.
Well, they did Dead
Well,
Island
yeah.
Riptide.
Yeah, that was just that was a
they're a s-
smaller
they're
game.
a subsidiary of They have the Volition with the guys behind Saints Row 3 and 4.
Okay.
Yep. God, those were fun games. Apparently, the new Saints Row has been
Just panned to shit.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
disappointed in that.
So am I. I was looking
It's just
forward
it
to
hasn't
jumping in.
reinvented the wheel, which maybe I'm not so angry about. Do I need that from a Saints Row game? I don't think I need it to be reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
Do I need to be able to flailingly hit someone in the head with a dildo? Yes, that's what I need from a Saints Row game.
Don't
Speaking
think
of
they do
Saints
that,
Row,
though.
should
It's
we
not
talk
as
about High
zany.
on Life?
Yeah. This game looks
was a good
fucking
segue.
funny.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
to admit.
Yeah. So Dan Harmon, guy behind Rick and Morty, has been involved in this.
Yeah.
And the guns are what scream and yell and
They
talk to you.
to you
while-
and- yeah.
Apparently the knife is the best one. If you watch the knife video, you get Stabby the knife, and he just like he loves it when you're just stabbing people with him. It's kind of like really weird. I think it's quirky and funny as fuck, but it's kind of like
It's
it's
clearly,
down that.
and it's clearly the same voice. Sorry to cut you off there, Tom. It's the voices from Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah, it's all
Yeah,
the
it's
same
the
things.
guys.
Yeah,
Yep. But it's a
Um,
fantastic art style too. They've picked a
Yeah.
really unique look to it, and I mean,
I like the way they reload as well, where it's just like you open the mouth and shove something in, and then it's like it eats it, and that's the ammo. Like, yeah, it looks very silly, and I'm about that. I'll definitely jump into that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as long as it's a good lengthy thing too, as long as it's not just some dumb fucking 1 hour jump in and play a couple
Yeah.
of levels and you're done and dusted. If they
Yeah.
can keep that up, if they can keep that humor and entertainment up,
And not get too repetitive.
and
That's-
not get repetitive, and
That's a line they have to teeter. Yeah.
Walk finally.
Mm.
I wonder whether, like, one of the things about the repetitiveness of those sort of games, it surprises me that a lot more studios don't design these things level per level. Like, don't have them say something on the third level that they said on the first level. I know it's all time and money and scripting and all that sort of stuff. But it's like, if you're really going to go that route and you really want people to be invested in this through the entire thing, start to finish, like, you should be spending that time to make it different and make it evolve as you move along. And I think most things these days, if they try to do something like that, they've completely failed. They don't make it different enough as you go through, and you are hearing the same line 20 times over.
Or seeing the same face.
Look out, Peter's gone to sleep.
No, I was reminiscing on a game that totally nails the fuck out of the concept that you're talking about, but I talk about the game way too much on this podcast.
Assassin's Creed.
And I didn't want to interrupt. I'm the interrupter. Like, I'm the editor, and I go back and watch. Like, I cringe at my interruptions while you guys are talking sometimes.
See, I was going to say on the same bad side was talking about Plague Tale. Remember, I think when in my review I talked about how I saw the same French dude like 80 times, even the same scene.
I
It's
did
like,
say that. Yeah.
are they? I mean,
They're recycling the artwork. But
What game are you
an
talking
army
about,
in the caverns
Peter?
of Isengard.
I was talking about World of Warcraft.
Oh, okay.
Where
No, well,
there
that's
was,
fine. Yeah.
but there's instanced. So they started with instance zones, which so many games have now done, where you've got a shared overworld with 1 billion people in it, but you and your 3 mates go into a dungeon, and another 100 other 4 people groups could go into the same dungeon, and you're all in your own instance of the dungeon, instance dungeons. But World of Warcraft was the first game in history to do the same thing with the overworld. So if you completed a quest, a series of quests that changed the landscape of the overworld, then you see completely different graphics, characters, NPCs, quests than someone who hadn't completed that quest series. And I
think
always
that's a
found
complete-
that hideously interesting.
I don't think that's a completely legitimate thing to call out. I mean, that's a fantastic, and as it should be. You shouldn't be going into something that, and this was one of my issues with the original Shadow of Mordor.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Is that what it was? Yeah,
I think it was the first game was Shadow of Mordor.
Shadow of
and
Mordor
then-
and then Shadow of War.
It kind of it had some things that happened in the missions that all the story missions felt separated from the main hub world. To me, there was a couple of times where you would go into a cave in one of the missions, and you'd come back to the hub world, and I don't know, I can't remember whether you could still access that cave, and what you did within that story mission hadn't affected the structure of that area. I think I think it's less these days, but it's definitely
Probably because they were focused more on your killing of NPCs that they remember you and then evolve, like kind of trade that for the other kind of thing. Yeah.
And I think they're probably definitely oxymorons there, but it was definitely something that probably did it again. That played a part in that. They're focusing on that Nemesis system, and they built a fantastic system through that, and an amazing system that needs to be implemented more. But it was one of those. It was really one of those world-breaking things for me for that game that I just couldn't get over, and I tried to play it several times. I get a little bit further every time, and I go, "No, fuck this shit!" Like that just destroyed my immersion in that world, so I'm out. So no, I think it's a legitimate call, Pete. And that needs to be one of these things they do with these. Like, this is going to be a seriously comical thing where you're going to laugh your ass off at something that happens every time. Like,
but it should progress.
The 100th time you do that, it needs to have something different, or the voices and the guns need to have different lines and evolve in character. Like, eventually that 100th time they need to go, no, fuck you. You've done this way too many times.
Can you stop jamming fucking ammo in my mouth?
Reload.
Yeah.
Like,
And it actually should be a
100th
rejection of the reload, and you have to reload a second time.
Especially if it's like a timed reload thing, like when you got a bonus for reloading in certain times. If you don't feed it the right way, it goes fuck you and spits it out or something. Yeah.
Or he just mismouths it and fucking ends up spitting out all the rounds. Look, it all comes down to how much money they're willing to invest in the game mechanics, because
100%.
the World of Warcraft that I'm talking about was like 2010, 2011, where it's old school technology. Mind you, I just looked up the stats. They're still running at 500,000 players all the way through 2021. So they're still peaking at, they're still around 1,500 people on any given server at any given time, and 500,000 players worldwide. That's still pretty high, but I mean, in its heyday, it was running at 13, 14 million players.
Mm.
So it certainly has fallen, but it is also one of the only games that's run for 20 years straight. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. We won't be able to play it. Oh, you may be.
Well,
High on Life is releasing on Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Series XS.
I'll play it on Windows.
I can play it on Windows.
We're on Windows now.
Darby fucking da.
It looked like a console game, though, man.
I don't know.
I mean,
those
it might
graphics
come-
were
it might
definitely PC Master Race graphics in that trailer.
Oh, so he's allowed to say Master Race. Fucking.
Yeah, I think in the right context, Tom, you can get away with it, mate.
Definitely in the right context.
Yeah, I'm going to go get dessert. Do you guys... should we take a 10-second break? Because I need to go get another beer, or have you guys got something to talk about?
Done it before. We'll do it again.
Done it before.
Fine. Bye, Peter. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'm coming over to your house and just sitting there and watching you play it. Be like, you missed that guy. I'll be like, I'll be like the guys in Shaun of the Dead. 11
Top
o'clock
left.
window.
Yeah.
You go in the shop, you want anything? Cornetto. I'll just take on
You
that
gotta
whole
go to work.
personality.
Yes.
Player 2 has left the game.
Definitely. I mean, they'll port it. They'll have to. I mean, it's
it'll be
too big
maybe
a
a
market.
launch. That's only going off the Wikipedia, but
Yeah.
just going off that though, what you were saying about like needing that kind of them to evolve the characters in that game. It's only a studio of 50 people apparently, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, oh no.
That lies the problem, and I mean, I think it just goes back to, and I'd probably.
And I should say I did get it wrong before. I said it was Dan Harmon's studio. It's Justin Roiland, who's the other guy behind Rick and Morty.
Okay.
I will correct myself.
I definitely heard Morty's voice coming out of the gun in the 10 seconds of
Oh
trailer.
man!
Yeah.
Oh, please don't make me shoot that again. Oh come on, jeez, Rick.
That's exactly
You
it.
do that well too.
That was me growing
yeah,
up.
definitely
Now
a
that I'm
radio
older, it's
guy.
like, come on, guy, let's go. We're gonna go on an adventure and play a video game.
Jesus Christ, that's a big beer. It's definitely the end of my night. Right, what topic are we on? Are we on the spotlight? Are we going to skip the spotlight?
Nah,
What are we
we'll
doing?
skip the spotlight. We didn't do any research on it. We just announced it at 3 hours ago
Yeah.
to each other.
And we've been
Hey, let's
recording
do
for
this.
2.5
sure.
of those 3 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about our fourth beer, and we'll get into Are You Winning, Son?
I
I'm
do
not
have 3
doing-
games to talk about, and I'm willing to talk about them for a little bit. So.
I'm not doing a fourth beer, so I've got my 500ml can of my stout here. So you guys go
Cool.
right ahead.
Tom?
Peter, you go, because I'm still swirling on my hybrid.
Let's get into Are You Winning, Son? Because I haven't even tried my fourth beer. I just poured it. I just
Well, there we
assumed
go.
that
That's
everyone
a
else
good
had.
thing. And I'll slowly finish this while we talk
Dan?
about the games.
Are you winning, son?
I am actually my first attempt, or I shouldn't call it my first attempt. My first real attempt at playing a roguelite. So I chucked it in the chat the other day that I was going to jump in and just play a roguelite because I wanted something just to jump into.
Jump
play
on
a
the old
bit.
hype train. Yeah,
Yeah,
hype
it would-
bitch. Yeah.
Jump into
That's
Play
a
a
big
little
call
bit.
against Dan, bro.
play a little
it's him and
bit.
his hazies, man. We can't keep up. He's just
Yeah.
all on the hype train.
Play a little
Loves
bit
his
and
juicy
jump
milkshake.
out. Shut up. Fucking hell. Play a little
Sorry.
bit and jump out again and just like continually just roll on through, play until you die,
Yeah.
go back to the start, play again and see what happened and see whether I enjoyed it or whether I didn't. And I grabbed one of the games that I added it to my library a few months back when it was on PlayStation Plus. And I'm going to add Hades too, which was recommended by Tom and by Ed.
Ed.
And
Yep.
the first one I grabbed was Curse of the Old Gods because I had that in my library already.
Yeah, it was only like a month or two ago as well.
Yeah, a couple of months
I've
ago.
seen that. Yeah.
It's really cool. Like it's an isometric hack and slash, I guess. You go through a series of small rooms within a temple. Then it brings up the map. You choose the next path you want to go to, depending on whether you want gold on the next map or whether you want a relic, you want a character upgrade, you want a new weapon, and then you work your way up through the up the map until you get to a hero at the end of that map. And then if you beat the hero, then or the champion, I think they're called, that unlocks that level in the temple. You move on to the next level of difficulty, basically. And I found it really fun. I did get very confused at the button configuration. You've got your dodge is a trigger button, and I'm always used to circle being dodge. So I'm constantly hitting fucking circle just out of sheer muscle memory to dodge things. But last 2 nights ago, I beat the first champion in the first temple.
Hey,
after
there he is.
4 or 5 goes going through, and that was good. It was really good. Moved on to the next temple that was, I mean, it's all the same thing, just with the different aesthetic and enemies that have different like timings and everything like that. But
What's
each
the
time,
reward?
so you end up in this sort of South American inspired temple. So it's like an Incan Mayan inspired temple, and you're going through, each time you go through a door, which is a level within the temple, you get a level of corruption, and you get to a point where you end up getting a curse from one of the old gods, which is a debuff on your character. And you go through, and there's probably a story you get through to the end and beat the old gods and get out of the temple. So you get a little cutscene at the start where it's just a silhouette of your guy coming into the temple, and then the door shuts behind him, like while he's running back to try and get out. So I think the reward is you get the fuck out of the temple. But the reward for each finishing each level is you get to keep. It's not like a Souls, like each time you die you lose all of your the things you've built up in that level. So you get to keep.
It's an RPG-esque system.
Esque, yeah. So you get to keep your. There's 3 levels of currency, like crystal skulls, like jade armbands, and something else, and these unlock level ups for your character. So. You can add 3 buffs to your character from a big list if you've got enough to buy them, and then you can unlock certain weapons throughout if you've got enough currency to find them within the level. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do to buff your character up for your next run to go through, and I think that's just the reward for it. I mean, it's a beautiful looking game too. Like
I'm looking at the video footage now. It is very pretty.
It's got kind of that old Day of the Tentacle, like full throttle, like heavy outlines with a solid color and like one color of shading. It's not multiple levels of shadings or gradients or anything. It's quite hard levels of shadings, and like you don't see eyeballs on the character. It's just like thick black lines and all that sort of stuff. I think it's a beautiful art style. The animation of the fighting and everything is really cool. It's fun, and it's just mindless fun. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Dan, it's really interesting. Everything you're saying, and the game, the style of game is.
I thought you were going to quote Luke Skywalker then. Interesting. Everything you just said was entirely
wrong.
No. I think. You're in. So I presume that there's in-run currency that you can spend for in-run boons, and then there's persistent. There's got to be persistent progression. So run 1 to run 2, you've upgraded and you can tackle new. Yeah.
So your in-run currency is just literally gold. It's gold or blood. So you get to these. You get to these boon.
That's so metal.
These. You get to these boon shrines that are for the gods, and you can, if you've collected enough gold within that run, you can buy the boons out of gold and not to a detriment to yourself, or you can sacrifice blood, which increases your level of corruption, and which makes your curse come on sooner. So it makes your debuff come on earlier, and it does warn you to say you've got 5 levels of curses. and it says, look, if you get to the 5th level, you're probably not going to finish this. And so it warns you early on that just
But it's
watch
also
it,
a
like-
red rag to a bull in some cases, obviously, because you're going to have a whole bunch of people just trying to disprove that statement.
Yeah, 100%. And
any time a game tells me that I'm too low level to take on that character, I'm like, the fuck I am, son. And then I get my ass kicked. I was like, I'm very sorry, sir. I will retreat to the level that you prescribed.
Tail between legs here, yeah.
the curses have got a nice little bit of flavor text to them as well, and they were quite good. Like, a couple of the curses really didn't affect me whatsoever. There was one that really didn't annoy me, but it was an interesting one that every time I opened a chest, which is only like maybe 1 or 2 in an entire level, sometimes there's levels that there's no chests, that the chest had a trap that would go off, and I had to hit the parry button at the right time to parry the attack for it to drop the items. And if I didn't parry the attack, you could then try and open it again. But I mean, every time you fuck it up, it hits you. So you lose. You've only got the 1 health bar for the whole run, kind of thing. So just interesting things like that. And it's just through the graphic design. So what were you going to say it was like, Pete?
I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
I'll come back to it.
Yeah, the graphical aspect of it, the smoothness of the combat, if I can stop hitting the fucking wrong roll button, it'll be really good.
That'll happen.
And it plays very much on light as well. So you always have a torch. You have a primary weapon and a secondary weapon, and you can pick up a 2-handed weapon. And the torch gives you light in the area, and you can light braziers as you go into the rooms. And if you don't fight within light, you actually get a 50%
debuff,
a plus 50% to the damage that you take fighting in the dark.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's a big issue if you're fighting in the dark. You die pretty quick. So you gotta light these braziers, and then there's traps around the rooms. There's traps you can activate and like activate so they don't hit you, they hit the enemies, and it's well designed. I'm really enjoying just jumping in and playing something simple for a time being. And it's not simple. I don't know why I said that.
cool.
Yeah, I
it's
wouldn't say
definitely
simple,
not simple.
But
It's-
at the
it's-
same time, it is. It's
Well, it's learning the system. Once you learn the system, it's like, fuck, I've got this.
yeah.
Because that's what every person I know that's played Hades has said to me. They're just like, once I learnt the rhythm and the system, it was almost like, I haven't beaten the game, but I've beaten the game. Like, it's that kind of thing. It's like, I can just go and go and go because it's cyclical, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, oh, I've got you. Like, I know how you tick now. And it's like, yeah, I may fuck up, but I can jump straight back in and go up to the max level. And I had guys
Conversation
at
makes me
Batch who are doing runs of Hades, and they're just like, yeah, well, I got bored after I did the same. Like, I've completed it and finished the story, the loose story that's in that game. But in the same run of that character, I did it like 20 times. And it's just like, I'm not getting any better rewards now. It's like, I think I've beaten this game.
Yeah.
It's like, by the sounds of it, you really have. Yeah.
That's actually the contrast between Curse of the Dead Gods and Hades. The contrast is apparently Curse of the Dead Gods. The complaint is the storyline is extremely thin, whereas Hades redefined how much story you can jam into a roguelite game. So that'll be the difference for when you finish with this one and you go on to play Hades, Dan. There's going to be a hell of a lot more story focus.
Yeah.
Really interesting conversation. Shall we talk about fourth beers, Tom, before we get into your games?
Sure.
I'm ready to
You
talk
wanna go
about
first?
mine. Yeah. I'm
Go on, mate.
drinking the spiritual successor to Sludgebeast. So this is Little Bang Beer's Fudgebeast. This is a 12% Imperial Dessert Stout.
Yeah, that's dessert. You said you were going with dessert.
Christ. What time have you got to work tomorrow?
I don't. I don't have to work
good.
tomorrow. I've got the day off sick tomorrow. For years, the Sludge
He's
Beast.
just decided.
It's been Anyway, for years, the Sludge Beast has run rampant through our quiet suburban brewery, destroying otherwise perfectly efficient brew days, chewing up specialty malts. Yeah, specialty malts, oats, chocolate, coffee, oak, all to no avail. The beast persists, a wrecker of palates, destroyer of quiet nights out, insatiable, unstoppable. Maybe we can tame it with delicious treats of salted caramel, fudge, peanut butter. Maybe that will make it happy. Maybe then it will be our friend.
Phil doesn't like the peanut butter edition.
Thankfully, you can't taste it. You definitely get the salt out of the salted caramel. It is sweet as fuck. It is a solid pastry stout. And it's thick. It's really, really fudgy thick with just the edge
butter
of
and beers. Nah.
And actually, now that
it's done well.
now that I say that, the peanut butter is on the back palate, right at the edge. Right at the edge, you get that peanuttiness.
It's like waiting in hiding for you to discover it.
Yeah, it's in the bushes.
Like, oh, good. There's no
Jumps
peanut,
out,
and then it's
yeah.
like
You jogged
morning,
past,
bitches.
You jogged past, yeah, and then it jumps out, yeah.
Wax your ankle as you walk. Run past,
Yeah, ankle tapped. It's not bad. It's not the best ever dessert stout I've had, but it's certainly, it is the contrast to the chocolate fudge stout that you were talking about before, Dan, because this is thick. Drink this with a fork. Sort of thick.
Chunky you can carve
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable, but it's definitely a fucking night ender. Like, you wouldn't have more than one of these. It's the sort of beer that you would crack at the start of a video game session, and you'd probably decide once the beer was over, should I just go to bed or should I push through?
Yeah.
That's where you end up like
We've all made
me
that
in
decision.
Witcher 3, just falling asleep with a forward button, and you wake up and you're just running into a wall.
Yeah.
Or you could do what I did and fell asleep doing that, and then ran into a fucking griffin and got your head ripped off.
Yes.
I'm going to give that a 4.5 because that's a fucking solid effort. It's not the best fudge imperial stout that I've had, but it's a fucking solid effort.
Good.
The end.
The end.
Tom?
Resisting all attempts to make fudge packing jokes in 3.
I made
2,
one earlier.
1. Yep,
Yeah.
I know. But just I'm resisting, and that's growth for me, Peter. That's what I'm all about these days.
I thought it was all
drinking...
about your girth, but anyway, carry on.
Oh, that's non-existent. I'm drinking a beer called the Hop Coma West Coast IPA from a brewery I don't think we've had on the podcast before. So a freshie, if you will. It's 2 Rupees Brewing from Melbourne.
2 rupees. Oh, yeah, I've heard
yes.
about these guys. Yeah, they
So
had,
these
they had
are
an article
2
in Crafty Pint a few months back.
These are 2 guys from Sri Lanka. And this is the first beer of theirs I've had, but it is the 3rd beer that they've been involved with I've had, because they have done 2 collaborations with Batch, because they're very good mates with Liam Pereira and his brother who lives in Melbourne. So they're 2 brothers, and they just started this little brewing company, and they're based in Clayton, Victoria, for any of our listeners living down that way. So this is a all-American West Coast IPA. He says as he double checks which hops are in it, because just to make sure, he may have fucked up there. But I may have, because it's the end of the night. Centennial, Columbus, and Cascade. Dan, am I right?
Yeah.
Yes. Fuck yes. I get to keep my job. Fuck. Oh, yes, killing it. My first sip of this, I was like, ooh, okay. But then I'm taking 2 or 3 more sips, and I'm like, oh, okay. These fuckers know their way around an IPA. This is a classic West Coast bitter IPA, and I don't know, it was probably because I came off that red. I didn't have the chance to wash my glass because we were recording. It didn't taste quite as punchy bitter as I wanted it to, or like, I guess a bit more of that earthiness came through, not as much as just like floral notes that I would expect from a big West Coast. But now that I'm like 3 or 4 sips in, I'm like, oh yeah, shit, this is This is a classic West Coast IPA. This is great. This is really good stuff. I haven't seen much of their stuff in Sydney. I think they're they're just starting to bring stuff up here. And I met these guys at Collabothon, and they're haze fiends. They love a hazy IPA. Like, they can't get enough of them. And obviously, living in Melbourne, they're getting access to like some of the creme de creme. But yeah, this as a classic West Coast IPA, they have fucking smashed it. It comes in at 7%. Pete, sorry, I forgot to say that before.
That's all right. I've already written it down.
And he's already found it. But yeah, really good example of a classic West Coast IPA, which we do need more of.
Yeah.
We've said that.
I've
many
actually
times.
got 5 in my fridge right now because I could keep
proud.
gravitating towards them.
That's my boy. Yeah, my boy Blue. But yeah, really punchy bitter finish, which is just doing wonders right now. And yeah, it pours. It does look a little cloudy, but it tastes clear. Like if that's any thing you can get behind.
Out of 5?
And yeah, no, I as a solid example of a classic West Coast, this is a 4.5. So yeah,
Nice. Cool.
double the rupees, if you will.
Double the rupees.
Toss a
Tom,
coin to your boys.
are you winning, son?
Oh, Peter, I'm always winning. Just fucking born winning. All right. I finally platted Witcher 3, boys. I finally did it. I've joined the
Good
ranks.
man. Good man.
Now my older brother no longer has a
Last
hold over
but
me, and
certainly
I am
not
the
least.
superior male in the Piggott family, and I will fight him on this until the day I die. No, it was so rewarding. I did want to ask you boys, because you both finished the story. Dan 17,000 times.
Pete
Pete's
once.
done it the once.
Just one play through for my Plat though, so I'm pretty proud of that.
As you should be. Yeah, I fell in love with Gwent. I keep looking on eBay
Fucking
and Etsy
A.
for
It
buying
became
a full set.
It was annoying to start. I found Gwent in the game, knowing that I had to Plat.
I didn't touch
get
it in the first playthrough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so in order to get the Plat, I knew I had to play Gwent and beat everybody in the game. And I got about halfway through the game playing Gwent as I went through the towns. Found it shitted me to tears. And I wasn't looking forward to it. And by the end of the game, that was the last trophy I needed for Plat, and I wanted to keep playing.
So I having finished it once and like kind of got into it through my first playthrough, like towards the end, people were like, no, give Gwent a chance, just try it, understand it, read the rules, read like a tutorial on it, understand the rules, and then you'll love it. So
yeah.
I did that, and finally I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I love this game. Dear God, there is something supremely satisfying about rocking up to some random merchant and being like, hey, man, yeah, I'm sorry about your dying family, but hey, you want to play Gwent? And he goes, yeah, dude, I'll play Gwent.
Yeah.
Fuck those guys. And then you go, okay, sweet. So 20 gold? Yeah, 20 gold. Yeah, easy win. And you go along, and then you just throw in your first 3 spy cards, and you can just see, despite the fact you can't see the NPC's character face, it is melted. That guy is crumbling underneath the pressure. He's like, oh, shit. Oh, not the mysterious elf. Oh, no, that's a hero card for 0, and it's a spy card. Oh, no. Oh, he's fucked me. And then you throw in a Thala. That's 1. Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, you get 1 point. Whatever. Doesn't do shit, son. I got 2 extra cards, bitch. Oh, and then you throw in a Dijkstra, who, tell you what, for the Witcher series, really beefed up. He really lost that gut. I forgot how fat he was in the game. Like,
What deck did you end up playing most of the time?
Northern Realms for the most of it,
Yeah.
because I'm all about that artillery.
spycraft.
Because artillery. I will rain
The
fire.
spies
on you
were
from above.
Nilfgaard mostly.
Nilfgaard.
The
Nilfgaard
strongest deck in the original Witcher 3 game was all about the spies.
Yes. So that actually won it for me in the Passiflora tournament, which you only have one, or if you save it, yeah.
Mm.
You have to save it after each match. But yeah, I had to win that with Nilfgaard because I didn't have the low-level spy cards, or they weren't coming up close enough. I also got to play some different story elements than I did my first playthrough. Some better, some worse, which was interesting. I think for me, in this chance, I let the Baron hang himself. I think in my first playthrough, I sent him and Anna away. I think the biggest thing for me in the end was that I, in this playthrough, I let Ciri become a Witcher. In my other playthrough, I let her become Empress of Nilfgaard. Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. But no, I wanted
Didn't
Ciri
feel
to
right.
become it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And even the ending, like it's like everyone's alive, but it's still sad. But in this one, it's like, oh fuck yeah, Ciri's gonna fuck some shit up. Like, let's go.
I was just saying I was on mute, but all my playthroughs series always been a Witcher.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think the other big one was I changed the ruler of Skellige this time. Originally I did Hjalmar, this time I did Ceres.
Yeah.
I think otherwise it was
I think I did Ceres on my playthrough, actually. And that's for Baron, because you're bringing up lots of old memories. Don't forget, I've only played the game once, and it was 3 years ago. Yeah. Maybe 4.
It was 15 when it came out.
Yeah,
2015 when it came out.
I was late.
And then I didn't play. I took me 3 times to get into it. Three like attempts to play, and then in 2019 I finally sat down and finished it. And I said I'll come back to that and do the hard playthrough. And this is my Death March playthrough, and that was actually the hardest thing in it. Was I died a lot of stupid times. I ran in so fucking penisy into so many fights.
I did the opposite, man. I was a soft cock.
No, the amount of fights I went in, especially like lower levels against like a bunch of drowners, being like, hey, I'll fucking cut you guys up, and then it's like, oh no, I'm swarmed. Oh no.
Bastards, drowners.
Yeah, drowners.
And I found like I guess it's almost like a cheat code, but the vitality, like food revitalizing you for 20 minutes at a time, that's a fucking cheat. Like I abused that. Like I was constantly munching on dumplings and bread, and
I never did. Food mechanics pissed me off in any game.
Yeah, well, this was just like a constant health potion. It's just like if you could roll away enough, you'd be like, oh yeah, I can. Yeah. I guess it was also like I was kind of speed running this playthrough. And then I was like, oh, no, I love this world. I'm going to do every single side quest and every single mission. Killed Radovid both times because that guy's a fuccroid.
He is a fuckwit.
Yeah, like that story didn't change. I definitely... and both times I romanced... what's her name? Yen. I never went down the ginger path? No, I didn't go that one.
I did.
Yep.
I totally went down
the ginger path. Of course you did.
Radovid has a very interesting story within The Witcher 2, and it's just there's.
You said that.
Well, I got
that
the,
back in the day when I first.
I got the Witcher 2 dude this time. I didn't get him in my first playthrough, but I got his side quests.
Roach.
No, not Roach.
Oh, Roach.
The assassin.
The
beefy bald head.
Letho.
I finally did his quest because
Letho's
I went down the
fucking love Letho.
And then I had him come to the Camoran for the big fight, him and Roach were like, what the fuck's that doing here? Sorry, Pete, they're 124-10. Sorry, it was in context. It was in context. Pretty sure that Roach drops a C-bomb in that series. Anyway, it was just like it's such a good game. You like. Even like
there's so much in it that is good.
And also in this time I didn't upgrade, like I think I said to you guys in the chat, I didn't upgrade my armor until I finally got to Kaer Morhen because I just wanted the Wolven armor because that's the one I like. So for like a lot of the game I was disadvantaging myself and like getting massive hits taken out of me. It's because I was still wearing the jacket from White Orchard running around. Yeah. So yes, I did that, and then I double winned. I double win, Peter. I am double winning, son. I jumped straight into Iki Island and smashed through that in 2 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like I jumped in and did like the first few hours of story, and then I went the second day and did like 6 hours, and I had the day off, and so I punched through the last of the exploration. And
Was it a slog though, Tom? Be honest.
No. It was a joy to get back into that world.
Mm.
Did you both take a break?
Did I what?
Did you both take a break between the main game and Iki Island?
Oh, yeah, I'm talking like a year or two between me. Yeah.
And Dan?
Yeah, but I finished Ghost well before Iki came out.
Right.
So I wasn't even in there when that came out. And then I didn't I jumped back into Iki for a little bit, and then something else came out, and I forget what it was. So
I'm talking like a 2-year gap, Pete.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. So I've struggled with. I'm only halfway through Iki Island, but then I played Ghosts from never played the game through to Platinum, and then jumped straight to Iki Island, and I'm like, I'm kind of over it now. Like,
well, I was the same with AC Odyssey when I finally got to Atlantis. I was like, oh god, this is a lot of DLC. I didn't have that with Iki. I definitely.
My horse can charge through people now.
Yeah, but how much have you obviously played enough to get your horse back?
Yeah.
How about that fucking opening sequence? You dare drown my horse, you motherfuckers? Yeah. I will end you. How dare you do that to me?
But then when you jump back on him and now he's charging through people and the quests are forcing you to demonstrate that you've understood which button to press and hold and then release at the right time. Like, we get it, dude. Like, it's not that difficult a fucking mechanic.
But then I got the dragon horse armor and I was the king of the island. I thought it was cool. I don't know. I thought he could have gotten over the whole poison thing a bit sooner. I really felt that dragged on just a bit, and I get it for all the it made sense story-wise that he finally got over it when he finally forgave himself for letting his dad die. But it was a little drawn out. Because it didn't affect the gameplay as much as I would have hoped it. Like, there were fights when you suddenly were like drawn into that like the poison world. Let's call it the poison world for lack of what it is.
Yeah.
But you were drawn into that as people were like surrounding you, but then you didn't have any health detriment for it. Like, you weren't suddenly down on 0 health.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't penalized in any way, despite the fact that there were dudes circling around you, and then it's like, oh well, I have to quickly like get out of this circle situation. But it's like, sorry, if there's a dude you're trying to kill and you're a mob and suddenly he falls to the ground grabbing his head being like, oh no, the visions of my father.
You'd all fucking shiv him. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be Julius Caesar all over again. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that like, they obviously don't kill me, but like at least let me start with like a reduced health or like take away a bunch of my like focus that's been built up or whatever. It was a rough re-entry into the world, thinking like, yeah, I can just go straight into the DLC without playing any of the like even like going back into the intro world. Jesus, I absolutely got my ass kicked to me like a few times in those first fights. I thought the chanting monks were a great addition, but super annoying.
That shield or buff all of the other mobs until you kill them.
They'll buff them, yeah. And so, suddenly when some dude who's sitting over the other side of the map can suddenly like 3-arrow you and that kills you, and you're just like, oh, that motherfucker.
And you used to being invulnerable on the main island. So for me, because I played it directly, you have one of those encounters on the main island before you get on the boat to start the DLC, and that kind of introduces that mechanic. So it wasn't really surprising for me. I still haven't kind of lost a fight.
Oh no, it was surprising me coming back after 2 years of not playing the game.
Yeah, that would have been different. That's what I'm saying. Like, I had a continuity that you didn't. Here's a question I've never asked you guys, and now you've both finished the game. Did you kill Lord Shimura, or did you let him live?
Oh, I honestly don't remember.
It's like the climax of the main story. Did you let your
uncle
live, or did
I
you kill
ghosted
him?
it, so I would have had to kill him.
I didn't think you got a choice.
No, you did. You absolutely did. You can let Shimura live in shame, or you can kill him with honor.
No, I think I would have killed him then if that was the option. It's been a long time since I played.
Yeah, it's been 2 years in a lot of games, but I probably, despite the fact I went full ghost, so like I when I
were-
when I started the game up again, I was in the hut, like the weird hut. Well, you might not know about this, but this is the ghost ending. You end up in like a hut in the wilderness, and you like live as the ghost.
You end up there of the other ending too. So
okay, there you go. Well, yeah,
Yes.
I think I would have probably, despite being a ghost
I killed
playthrough,
him anyway.
Yeah, I would have killed him with honor. Yeah.
So to answer that question, Pete, I actually went a different route on that fight. First up, I actually didn't fight back at all to see if I got a different ending.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, because the conversation he had, and the uncle was so
I understand
disappointed.
exactly why.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to fight back. I'm just
Just
gonna,
to see if he pulls his punch at the death.
going to put the controller down and just let this play out as it plays out. And unfortunately, they
He
didn't put
killed
anything
you.
in there. He just killed it, and then it just
Well,
reloaded.
that's also like the beginning when you first fight Khotan Khan. It's a scripted fight, so you can get him down to 0 health, but you can't kill him. He always has to throw you off the bridge.
Yeah.
So I jumped back into Ghosts. I did Iki Island. I got all my PlayStation exclusive armors.
I got a
They were fun. For those who haven't played it yet, yes, there are 4 shrines where you can get some PlayStation game armors that you have to do little puzzles for, little quests. Not even quests. You have to figure out the puzzle. And they're led to PlayStation exclusive titles. And then now I've jumped into Outer Wilds. No, Outer Worlds.
Outer
not
Worlds.
Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is a different game. And it's futuristic Fallout in space, not as rundown. It feels like classic Bethesda.
I'm sure I've seen the trailer for this in an E3 last year.
Oh,
the year before.
no. It's been a while since this game's been out. It's fun. It's pretty. It's got a bit of
It
a
looks
reverency to
Fallout.
it. Yeah. Like the gameplay's pure Fallout. It just doesn't have the VAT
The
system.
dirtiness. Is it a
Yeah, or-
Bethesda game?
No. It's Obsidian Entertainment.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that targeting system you have in
Vats.
Fallout, the VATs. So a bit more
Still one of my
Skyrim-y leaning.
Favorite HUDs.
What?
Still one of my favorite HUDs.
Oh yeah, we'll come back to that.
Fallout
next
3.
episode.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
But it's kind of I guess it's probably leaning more towards your Borderlands than Fallout in terms of there's a few digs at other games and they have some little fun with it.
Fallout did this. Well, look, Fallout's always been a series
all
that's
of those
taken the
open
piss out
world
of pop
games do.
culture, right? Like all the way back to number 2 when it was still isometric, like over the shoulder down, like
Yeah.
and you had a random encounter of crossing the bridge, and you had the guy from Monty Python's Holy Grail asking you 3 questions.
Really enjoying the aesthetic of the weapons I've found so far. It's you can clearly tell there's different schools of weapon makers, but yeah, just even some of the like. It's Edgewater is one of the first like towns you come to, and you walk in, and
Not
there is one
Clearwater?
of Edgewater. Yeah, but it's just the backing soundtrack, and you can find it on Spotify. You can search it, search Outer Worlds, and then Edgewater, and the Edgewater track on the album, and it is the most quintessential Western like theme that I want to use it for every like standoff I've ever had. It's a little slide guitar, like metal slide, and there's like maybe a little like fiddle in the background. And it's just like it's so good.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a Days Gone fucking track. The reason I asked you about Clearwater is that's the name of a town in Fallout 3.
Oh, maybe it's meant to be.
Maybe not. I
Yeah.
don't know, but it sounded like a reference.
But yeah, gameplay's the same. It's it's first person perspective only. You've got you can put your skills into range weapons, melee weapons. You have your character creation, and you get to pick your name. So I gave myself the classic comb over and full beard, and then because I'm going to be the captain of my own ship, I name myself General Kenobi. So then I have to introduce myself to people, and they go, "Hi, I'm General Kenobi," and they go, "Hi, General Kenobi, nice to meet you." And then there was a skill. Then half the reason I did this because I like looked up the skills, and one of the skills is called the Negotiator, and I was like, "Oh, sweet! I'm gonna make a weird Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3 reference for my entire playthrough." Anyway, very fun. I'm doing it on a hard playthrough. You got to do like the super hard, but I didn't want to start that because it didn't sound fun. Even the hard playthrough is like. Those bad guys are very accurate. Like, they're far too accurate. So I'm really dreading the, like, super hard playthrough. But yeah, it's fun. I'm definitely getting into it. But it's cleaner Fallout in space.
It looked fun in the E3 footage, and I forgot about it. I need to go back and play it.
But also just like the world's like, this is the thing that's getting me so far.
It's a brighter palette too.
Well, yeah. Like the backgrounds of the worlds, they're just so nice to look at. Like I've always loved those kind of like, they were like your Windows desktop was like the space, the alien hills. World, but it's the world with rings that's instead of like a giant moon that's like coming over the horizon. It's like, yeah, that's the world I want to visit if I can space travel. So yeah. It's working for me. But yeah, highly recommend if anyone wants a nice little. They say it's meant to be like a good 40-hour story kind of thing, go through. Yeah. The worlds are actually, this is actually the best thing about it. The worlds are not massive. They go to different worlds, but they're not like, oh shit, I've got to run for like, 20 minutes just to go from point to point. It's like, oh, they're actually like pretty decent. Like in the game measurement, it's like just a couple of 100 meters between each like fast travel point. So that's a nice change especially for a big RPG worldy thing. Just
yeah, cool.
Yeah, enjoyable. Outer worlds. Get into it. There's a sequel coming too.
Yeah, looking forward.
I'll have to play it before that happens.
Peter, are you winning, son?
Mate, I'm ready for bed, son. Yes, I am.
Let me tuck you in with the sounds of my sultry voice.
Well, wait till the outro. I need to pee really badly, so. It's going to be a really quick conversation about Tiny Tina's Wonderland. So I platinumed that. I said in the last episode I was essentially I was holding off hitting the plat. I could have gotten it at any point. Didn't bother. The grindiest trophy in that game is earn 320 million credits so that you can buy all of the like backpack upgrades. For all your ammo, the backpack, the bank, all the rest of it. And it made it sound like you were going to grind, but I'm still playing the game. I hit the platinum last week. I'm still playing the game. And the reason why I was smiling before when you were talking about Curse of the Old Gods, Dan, and the roguelite system, is I had no idea what the fuck a roguelike or a roguelite game was until you mentioned it in chat the other day while I'm playing Tiny Tina's Wonderland over and over and over and wondering why I'm enjoying it. And one of the curses in the runs at endgame is roguelite. I'm like, hang on, is that the same is that a reference to the same thing? And it turns out that and I say this, I sound like an idiot for anyone that understands these game mechanics, but when you hit Tiny Tina's endgame, the endgame is a roguelite game. So you start a chaos run, which I talked about last episode, but it's called a chaos run, and you go through between 7 and 15 rooms, and in those rooms, at the end of the room, you get to choose, is my next room going to be a currency room where I get extra currency? Is it going to be a curse room where I have to choose between a medium, hard, or easy curse, and the curse is a debuff, and you only get to choose between two. You don't know which two. So it could be easy and hard, or it could be easy and medium, or it could be a medium and hard curse. And the curses are pretty fucking, the hard curses are hardcore. Like, One of the curses is your damage over times no longer damage over time. One of the other hard curses is one of the other hard curses is called
That's a dick move.
one of the other curses is called toothless, and it means you can't crit. Now I'm running a crit build, which basically gimps me completely.
Bring out the gimp.
And yet,
sleeping.
that's it. And
Guess
yet,
we're gonna have to wake him up now, aren't we?
some of the easy curses are actually kind of boons if you play them right. The medium ones are, you kill an enemy and he'll spew out 4 lava pits. And if you step on the lava pit, you're going to die. If you stay in the lava pit, you're going to die. And that seems easy enough until you got 50 dudes on the screen and you kill them all in quick succession to try and get to the end of that level. And all of a sudden, the whole fucking level is lava.
Oh, the floor is lava. Yeah, that's happened.
And then one of the other choices is so you've got curses and you've got blessings. And so you go to the Butt Stallion. The Butt Stallion, which is one of the major characters in the game, gives you a blessing and he boosts one of your character stats. It is a roguelite system inside a first-person gun... What do you call it, Tom? What's the style of the game? Gun looter. Shooter looter.
Shoot looter. Yeah, shoot looter.
I have not stopped playing the game. I'm at chaos level 50. I've maxed out the game. Some of the hardest bosses on some of those runs, I can one-shot. So the raid bosses that are supposed to take you 15 to 30 minutes of well-timed, perfectly executed combat, my loot's at a point now, my gear's at a point now where I can 4-shot them sometimes, 1-shot them sometimes, 20-shot them others. And yet it's still fucking addictive to see how quickly I can get through it. And I just want to get that one extra little piece of loot to play the next roguelite run through.
Yeah,
it's
and this
very
is why
fucking
I will
addictive.
not touch roguelites because
It's very
fuck
addictive.
me, this sounds like the slippery slope of Destiny.
It's
all over
not.
me, and
I see the
turns me
parallels.
off. Nah,
I talked
nope.
about it last time. I see the parallel to
dirty.
Destiny.
It's dirty.
And yet, the actual game, Tiny Tina, the amount of pop culture references, the tongue-in-cheek humor, it's a thoroughly fucking funny D&D rip-off
Oh yeah,
shooter.
but I mean that's the rest of the Borderlands series. It is like that.
I need to go back and play them. I really do.
This is a shameful thing to admit, but Borderlands 3 I pre-ordered and then like just the standard copy. And then paid it off and picked up at launch, and it's still shrink wrapped on my shelf. I've never even taken off the fucking shrink wrap. And I love Borderlands 1 too. I smashed through them. They are great games. They're just better than other things came out, and I never went back to it. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame.
Speaking of shrink wrapped, I think that will end the episode because I'm really need to pee. So unless
Resisting. Lord, give me strength.
no, give in to your inner demons, Tom.
Well, in that case, let's keep drinking. Oh, God. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Pixels and Pints. This will
I can see
be produced to you by
Pete.
Dan, Pete, and Tom. We actually don't do much of it. It's all Peter. So a round of applause for Peter.
No.
Golf claps. Golf claps.
Golf claps.